Good morning, everyone. If we could take our seats, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, I will call this first meeting of the House Public Policy Committee for the 2026 short, emphasis on short session. Call this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. We do have a quorum, and we'll go ahead and start with member introductions. Representative Van Natter, would you like to start there since you're all alone there on this side of the table? Did you shower this morning?
Heath Van Natter, House District 38, which is Howard, Clinton, Carroll, Cass, Tipton, and Tippecanoe counties.
Representative Moed.
Justin Moed, Indianapolis, House District 97.
Peggy Mayfield, House District 60, which is Morgan, Johnson, and Monroe counties.
Mount Lehman, District 79, Adams, Wells, and Jay counties.
Kyle Miller, District 82, downtown Fort Wayne.
Blake Johnson, District 100, Indianapolis.
Ed Clere, New Albany, Floyd County.
And I'm Ethan Manning, House District 23, Miami and Cass counties. This is Julie Weller, our awesome LSA attorney for this morning at least. So we have one bill on the calendar today, House Bill 1038. Before we bring Representative Snow up here, just want to make a few opening remarks. So of course today, this topic is brick and mortar casinos. You know, we're not talking about iGaming, iLottery, charitable gaming, anything other than our brick and mortar casino market. As we all know, they've been around more than 30 years now. You know, they're just a little younger than Representative Lehman and myself in this state combined. Yeah. Obviously a huge industry, right? Has changed and evolved over the last 30 years. Very important to the state, both in terms of jobs and investment, right? We're talking thousands of jobs. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars each year to our state revenue, and then many millions more to our host communities, and then statewide riverboat funds going to our local governments. So as we know, last year we passed Senate Bill 43, which required a study from the Gaming Commission. They engaged Spectrum Gaming to do that. I hope you've all had an opportunity to review that report, what they came up with, or at least are familiar with it. So I'm sure we'll hear about that today. But Representative Snow's bill, which he'll present, has one idea, right? We're talking about a new casino, a new license in Allen County, but we're not going to pretend that there are not other ideas out there. I'm currently aware of 4 or 5 bills at least that will be filed across the two chambers this session dealing with a new brick and mortar casino somewhere and maybe coming from somewhere. So the intent today is to get this conversation started. Is this working? The light's on, but I stopped hearing myself. There we go. All right. So the intent is to get the conversation started. We're going to take all the public testimony, of course, everyone who's signed up. We're going to hear them out, have a conversation. And then, of course, as we get into January, we will find out a path forward and try and find some consensus on how we continue to evolve the brick and mortar casino market here in the state of Indiana. So with that, Representative Snow to present House Bill 1038.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I was asked to carry House Bill 1038 not too long ago and have been doing my best to get up to speed ever since. Past couple of weeks, I've talked with a number of operators and or those who represent those operators, as well as many others related to the topic of gaming. I believe we have a number of folks here to testify today, and I'm eager to learn from them. But first, allow me to introduce the bill. House Bill 1038 sets up the framework requiring the Gaming Commission to accept applications and proposals to award an owner's license to operate a casino in Allen County. House Bill 1038 requires a license fee for the owner's license to operate in Allen County in the amount of at least $50 million. The bill requires a fee for Allen County casino license to be deposited in the state general fund. Now, this bill is somewhat similar to the gaming bill this body passed in 2019 that allowed Vigo County to receive a riverboat license. But let me be clear, this bill expands gaming in Indiana. House Bill 1038 is not a relocation of an existing casino. I have been asked, why am I carrying this bill? I'm not even from Allen County. And that is true. I live in Winona Lake. My businesses are in Warsaw, Kosciuszko County, which is the Northeast region. And that, I think, why they asked me to carry this bill, or maybe part. But I believe this bill, above all, is about economic development for the state, as well as for my region in Northeast Indiana. I've been working on economic development for the past 20 years in my region. I have been on local economic boards for a number of years and was on the RDA board, which is the Regional Development Authority, until I took this quote unquote part-time role. I have had a couple of healthy and cordial conversations with those in my region concerning the expanding of gaming or gaming itself in the state of Indiana. And I share those concerns. I truly do. And I'm going to commit to working on those concerns. However, I'm not here to debate the morality of gaming. That was decided on this in the state of Indiana many, many years ago. But what I will work on with this bill is to try and ensure that there is social responsibility, that a component to this bill. I want to see that happens as it gets across the finish line, if it gets across the finish line. So you'll hear from some in Allen County even this morning about ways they plan to use the money for this very topic. The last item I want to stress is I will work on this bill with full transparency. I've heard stories of gaming bills in the past before my time in the legislature, and certainly no laughing matter. But I want to commit to you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee, for the sake of our caucuses, all our caucuses, the institution, that I'll work on this bill with the utmost transparent manner. I don't know a lot about the gaming industry. I'm learning. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you allowing me to speak and hearing the bill this morning. I'm willing to take questions, but again, there's probably folks in this room that are much more educated than I am on this bill and this topic. So with that, I'll end my testimony, and I'm eager to learn from them, but I will entertain any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Snow. Any questions? Representative Moed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Snow, what was your logic in picking Northeast Indiana, particularly Allen County, but Northeast Indiana as the only available location for this license to be created and put?
Well, when we looked at it, it obviously wasn't the only location, but in the bill, it's only specifically Allen County.
So what's your logic that the bill only allows that?
Well, personally, it's my region, so I'm going to be a little biased on this. So that's kind of why I agreed to do it. And as it says, it's only Allen County. So it's a little biased for my region. There are some discussions I've had. The other opportunity was Indianapolis, which I've kind of talked in circles around that topic as well. Many for, many against. But this bill, as I said, it is truly just Allen County.
Okay. So your logic was that it's the area you represent. Is
Correct.
That, okay. But you're aware there was a study commissioned by the state of Indiana, correct?
Yes.
And it looked at where in the state of Indiana would be the most beneficial place to put the casino. Is that?
Yes.
Was Allen County the number one place that the commission?
The second.
And the first was?
Indianapolis.
But your bill does not allow for an Indianapolis casino. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What is your logic for I guess for that, for ignoring sort of the recommendation of the commission?
Okay, if you clarify ignoring, I understand what you're saying. I'd say and you'll hear from some groups this morning, a concern of Indianapolis, and I'm a little biased on this too, because I kind of last 20 years of my career has been spent in the ag community. The concern of the ag community having a great loss if a casino is located in Indianapolis with the two casinos that we have in close proximity. That's a industry I don't believe we want to lose, which this report suggests it would hurt it, but maybe not lose it. So there's all kinds of banter back and forth. I've yet to vet out all of that, but sure. I reiterate, this bill is specific to Allen County, the second location in the report.
Thank you.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Snow, do you know how many casinos are within decent distance from Indianapolis? If we were to put a casino in downtown Indianapolis, do you know how many casinos are around Indianapolis?
Well, there's it depends on your definition of around, but I mean, you've got 13, I believe, in the state. Terre Haute would be within an hour or so. The ones in Lawrenceburg and would probably be the next closest, I'm guessing. And then you got French Lick. Don't leave them out.
Fair to say
And
3,
Anderson and Shelbyville.
3,
Shelbyville.
4, 5.
Yeah.
And so if we were to put a casino in downtown Indianapolis, the revenues of that casino would hurt the casinos around in Indianapolis. Would that be
That's correct.
fair to say? And so if we put one in Allen County like you're proposing, we might hurt a Michigan casino, but less likely to damage the other casinos already in Indiana. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that is what the Spectrum report showed as well. Representative Clere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Snow. Will you please speak to the issue of saturation and why your bill proposes creating a new license rather than creating an opportunity to relocate an existing license?
Sure. I'll attempt that. But the best I can ascertain is, and this was alluded to in the budget committee in November, to relocate, there's a concern, and I believe there's a precedent set, so I'm going to speak a little bit around this. The concern is if we relocate or allow a casino to relocate, it sets a precedent to the next lowest hanging revenue generator to relocate later on as well, and so on and so forth. We believe that would create a little bit of chaos. And the challenge, at least in the budget committee, was operators, take care of your investment. Invest in your existing casinos and keep them up to snuff, if you will. But that's the best answer I can give you in the short time that I've had to study this, Rep. Clere.
Good there. Representative Mayfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Snow, I want to follow up on your answer there because you said this is going to set a precedent about relocation. Doesn't it also set a precedent about just adding licenses whenever we feel that we need another one?
Absolutely. And when I looked at the report, if you look at the state as a whole and where all the dots are at, where the casinos are, there's this gaping hole in Northeast Indiana. Let's assume we put one there. I believe that the next one that comes up for a request for a license, if I was running the bill today and there was already a casino in Allen County, I don't know where else we'd put a casino.
But the report, the report indicates, even though they asked for 2, it reported there were 4 potential locations. So we've already said here are 4 areas that
Right.
could use it. And I could just see those areas coming back and saying, well, we gave one to Fort Wayne, now we want one too. So my concern is not just the relocation, which limits, it maintains the limit on licenses in the state. This would set the precedent of expanding it to anyone who can justify wanting a license.
That's not untrue. And I share your concern, and I certainly understand that that's an option.
Yep, and some could argue that we set the precedent for relocation in the 2019 bill. Obviously, a unique situation with the 2 licenses in the one location. One went out for bid and one was relocated. But we've certainly done relocation before. This would be a new thing, adding the new license. Any further committee questions? So yeah, we are having some microphone in and out problems. We're going to have it checked out. So just make sure, if we can, your red lights are on when we're speaking, and we'll do our best there. Thank you very much, Representative Snow.
Thank you.
Right now, we have about 20 to 25 people signed up to testify. So I don't see a reason at the moment to limit time on folks testifying, because we have that number, and we've got, we have caucus at noon, the Republican side. So we'll certainly be done before noon, but we'll let people have their say and ask questions and have the conversation. We're going to start with Representative Bo Baird. We got a special guest who wanted to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. I'll be brief in my remarks, Mr. Chairman, so you'll have plenty of time for the rest of those testifying. I come before you today, though, as many of you know, that I'm a quarter horse breeder. At one point, before taking this part-time job, I was one of Indiana's largest quarter horse breeders. I also serve on the American Quarter Horse Board of Directors. And then I also serve on the Indiana Quarter Horse Board of Directors. What I wanted to come and talk to you about this morning, I'm not advocating for or against the bill. I just want to educate members of the committee and make sure that we're mindful of the equine industry that participates in the equine racing at these facilities. The 2022 study done by Purdue shows a $2 billion economic impact. I'm going to say that again, a $2 billion economic impact annually to the state of Indiana. That's critical for us to be mindful of. And I also want to remind you that's a 2022 number. I'm sure those numbers have grown since then. But also that only looks at the economic impact of the racing industry. So when you take in the hobby breeders and the other equine exhibitors around the state of Indiana, I think that economic impact would be significantly larger. But we don't know what that number is. We only know what the $2 billion economic impact is. Right now, the physical note on this current legislation shows a $1.7 million loss to the industry annually. And the importance of that is for this industry to thrive in the way that we've created it over the years is that we have to have consistency and stability for us to be competitive nationally. And again, I'm not advocating for or against the policy. I just want to make sure that we're mindful of the equine industry and the economic impact that it brings to the state of Indiana. But I also want to talk about how this relates to agribusiness in a larger picture. So as we've all talked about before, there's a shortage of veterinarians in Indiana, large animals specifically. And these horses that are at these racetracks use veterinarians as well as our hobby breeders. If you do damage to the number of horses that we have at that facility, you do damage to the number of those that are using veterinarians. It creates an even greater shortage, in my opinion, because there's less economic vitality for those veterinarians to be successful. So again, I'm just here to be mindful of the impact on our equine industry. And you're going to hear from the horsemen later on in your testimony. Anything I can do to provide information, I'm happy to do so, but thank you for your time.
Any questions for Representative Baird? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So going forward, I'm going to say who's up to testify and then who's on deck. So folks are on the hallway. They have time to come in and be prepared. So up next, we have Tom Kelly with Mayor Sharon Tucker up next.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, sir. Members of the committee, thank you for your service to the state of Indiana. I'm Tom Kelly. I'm a businessman from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And the reason I'm here to support this bill today is I am a big proponent of economic development in Fort Wayne. I've had the pleasure of being involved in Electric Works, which was a $500 million project in downtown Fort Wayne. As Representative Miller can attest, it's made a huge difference in that part of our city. This project is presumed to be approximately a $500 million investment on the part of the casino, and also will benefit the area with other jobs. One of the things I want to mention is I'm very proud of our county commissioners and our mayor for getting together and coming up with a plan, a comprehensive plan on how this money should be used. A significant portion of which I'm very proud of is that they're going to contribute 40% of the revenue to humanitarian charities that promote mental health, addiction, homelessness, things like that. This is approximately $11 million a year that will be distributed by a committee that will be put together. I think we can make a remarkable difference in these systematic failures of our society. And this money would not otherwise be available to these charities were it not for a casino being in Fort Wayne. Now I have a preliminary report, and I'm going to hand these to Representative Snow. I don't have enough, and I'll give you mine. But Greater Fort Wayne issued a economic impact study on the casino coming to Fort Wayne. And we have a draft of that. We don't have the full report, but we will have that within a couple of weeks. The report was done by C.B. Richard Ellis, a very notable real estate comprehensive firm in Chicago. It have a minimal impact to existing commercial Indiana casinos. The repatriated revenue from out of state is projected to be roughly $50 million a year. That's revenue coming from people going to casinos outside of Indiana. The wagering tax at stabilization year 3 is estimated to be $59.6 million annually. Local wagering and supplemental tax in the state of Indiana at stabilization is estimated to be $28 million. So this is roughly $90 million in tax revenue to the state, the county, and the city that is currently not being collected. These amounts do not include food and beverage tax, innkeeper's tax, or property tax, estimated to be an additional $13 million annually. This project is estimated to provide 1,024 new jobs at the facility, an additional 976 jobs to produce because of indirect and induced aspects of the project. The proposed economic impact, once all these factors, wages of employees and so forth, is estimated to be over $200 million annually. Again, none of these numbers would happen if we did not have a state-regulated casino in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're still working on the overall economic impact. We'll get that, but I've had the good pleasure of being involved in some projects. Like I said, Electric Works, we brought Bombardier to Fort Wayne recently. That's 100 jobs, Fortune 100 company, soon to grow to 500 jobs. Our family's invested significantly in dealerships in Fort Wayne. I believe very strongly that's the vitality that our kids and our grandchildren need to keep moving forward. The city, the county, the state have put Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana in a very enviable state to attract businesses. And the more money we have for economic development, the more jobs we're going to be able to create, the more income for the state of Indiana. And as we create these jobs, we take more people off of Medicaid, which is a big expense to the state of Indiana, and other supplemental programs the state and government pay for. With these kind of jobs, we eliminate those costs. So I'm here to give wholehearted support on the business leaders I represent, the community leaders I represent who could not be here today because of the short notice. Again, I want to give credit to our mayor and the county commissioners for coming together. 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat to agree on something is a really good effort. And I appreciate them working together to get this done. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions from the committee? Representative Clere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your testimony. There's already been some discussion of location, obviously. If a casino license were to be made available in Allen County, obviously location matters within the county in terms of maximizing economic benefit. What are your thoughts on that issue, on location and economic benefit?
So I think there's a couple of different 3 or 4 sites that are available. And I've had the good fortune of talking to a couple of different operators. And I think it would be up to them to come to Fort Wayne and say, here's where we think we could maximize our economic impact. And I think it would be up to the county and city officials to work with them to determine what's the site that maximizes the economic impact and does the most good for our community. So I'm not in a position to say, here's where a casino ought to go or not go.
Thank you. But you would agree, as you just said, that maximizing economic impact and doing the most good should be key considerations in site selection.
Correct.
Thank you.
Representative Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Tom, for being here.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question, maybe. I know we've talked in the past about the transfer of a license, and now we're talking specifically about a new license. Little bigger hill to get over. Do you feel the same economic impact if there would be just a transfer of a casino to Allen County?
As long as the transferee would commit to the same reasonable amount of investment that a new operator would, I think the economic impact would be very similar.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, as I'm saying, I'm here to be in favor of a state-regulated casino in Allen County.
Further questions? Thank you very much, Tom.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your time. Committee members, again, thank you for your service.
All right. Up next, we have Mayor Sharon Tucker with Melissa Bieber on deck.
Well, I'm a little shorter, so I'm going to lower this microphone. Thank you so much, Chairman Manning and committee members, for allowing us the time to speak. I almost feel like I don't need to talk because Tom Kelly laid it out very clear, but I will add some enhancements to it. We recognize that your task, before you is a heavy one. You'll have some people that will come before you that will speak for relocating or adding a new license to the state, and some that will speak against. I'm here to speak in favor, and specifically speak in favor for the city of Fort Wayne to be a location for a license to be placed in our community. And some might say, well, Mayor, why? Why are you interested in seeing that there is a gaming license added to your community? This opportunity is too big of a opportunity for the city of Fort Wayne to pass up. We recognize and see that the economic investment, the economic development that could happen because of a license being located in the city of Fort Wayne is too tremendous for us to pass. We know that working together with the commissioners, we have been able to come to a conclusion on what could happen if we worked as a partnership. And so here's what we've done. The commissioners and I have been in negotiation, and we've talked about, regardless of where the location is in Allen County, whether it's in the city of Fort Wayne or whether it is in the county, that we will make sure that proceeds are split based on population. And so everyone in our community would have an opportunity to benefit from being able to have a license located in the city of Fort Wayne. We also know that this gives the city of Fort Wayne an opportunity to continue growing. As Tom Kelly said, we have been on a forward trajectory of growth in our community. We've been named several of the best run communities, best growing community, fastest growing community, and we want to continue having that growth. We know the current tools that we have right now have been exhausted, and relocating a casino and the revenue received from that would give us the opportunity to continue forward growth and continue positive impact in our community. And so we're working and looking to be an advocate to host a community or a casino in our community. I know that there's been a lot of work that's gone into it, Representative Snow, and I appreciate your work that you've done. And I support the bill that you've written with maybe one or two tweaks if we could. For the community and for the city of Fort Wayne, time is of the essence. And we believe that having a state-run casino, a state-regulated casino in the city, in the county, is the best way to be able to operate. We are concerned that there will be a casino that could be ran by perhaps a tribal casino that could come into the area. We know that they already own land in the area. And so we believe that a state-ran casino would be the best way for the city of Fort Wayne to move forward. And in order to do that, one or two tweaks that we believe would be best would be that we relocated a license instead of a new license coming into the area, because we do feel like time would be of the essence, and the financial impact could be impeded upon if we added a new license to the state. So we would love to see that tweak added to the bill, and of course I would expend my services to be able to help modify and work with the committee to make any changes that are necessary. The last tweak that I think would be very important is the opportunity for the city to control their own destiny. Right now, the bill as written says that the approval of a casino in the location of city of Fort Wayne would be approved by the Allen County Council. Our councils don't cross. Our Allen County Council does not have a specific involvement in the governing of the city of Fort Wayne. Our city council does. And so we would love to see a tweak that would allow the city and the city council to set their own destiny, control their own destiny, if the location of a casino would be in the area or in the boundaries of the city of Fort Wayne. And then the same would be would happen if Allen County would be the place that the operator would decide to locate, that then the Allen County Council should be the person making that decision, approving the location for a casino there. So those are a few tweaks that we believe should be added to the language, to the conversation. But overall, we are very, very concerned about being able to protect our destiny and to make sure that if there is to be gaming in Allen County, and specifically in the city of Fort Wayne, that that is controlled by the state of Indiana, and that it's also controlled by the city of Fort Wayne. And so for us, time is of the essence, and the best way to control that timing is a relocation, in our opinion, of a gaming license instead of an addition of a gaming license. And with that, I will say thank you again for allowing me to come up and talk fast to you, but I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. Very impressive so far, the alignment between you and other elected leaders in Allen County and business leadership, and very, very good steps here. Representative Criswell.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for coming the track down today, as I know traffic was not lovely this morning. You got to say about you want the city council to have some say and the county councils in the bill as it is currently. Would you be opposed to having the constituents of Allen County have like a countywide referendum on the ballot in May or in November, have that election, then every person in Allen County has a say if they want a casino in Allen County or not? Would you be opposed to that?
I am never in opposition of allowing the public to speak. I know that that's the only way that I've maintained my career, right? But I also know that, again, as I spoke before, that time is of the essence for us. And so having a transfer of a license and able to be shovel ready and able to welcome jobs and able to continue growing our community is the primary concern that I have. And so anything that adds an additional delay to that worries me, because I am concerned about competition coming into the field and us not being able to regulate and or control that destination for our community.
Okay, so you wouldn't be opposed to it, but you think time of the essence, so you want to move as fast as we can. That's what I'm getting.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Representative Clere?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your testimony, Mayor Tucker. You talked about the commitment that the city and the county officials have to working together for the good of the community. Will you talk some more, though, about location? Because obviously location relates very directly to maximizing economic benefit, which then relates to that good for the community, right?
Yes,
The
yes.
combined community. And I've heard there may be some tension over location. It seems to me that if Allen County were to receive a license, the best location is where the most people are, like maybe near the convention center, or going back to the original arguments for casino gaming in Indiana, a location that is going to maximize the opportunity to bring in dollars from visitors, from people from out of state in particular. So will you please speak to that?
Absolutely. Location seems to be always, right? So I specifically, selfishly, and knowingly advocate for the city of Fort Wayne. But what we have done as a collective group governing body in the county, the commissioners and I have sat and we've talked. And the agreement that we have on the table amongst each other is that what we know we want to happen is to have the location located in our community. We will allow the operator to decide what is the best location, whether the city of Fort Wayne or the unincorporated areas of Allen County, to make that decision. But what we've agreed upon is that the proceeds, regardless of the location, everyone in our community would have the opportunity to benefit. And so those proceeds would be separated based on population. And so even small communities like Poe, Indiana, are calculated into our agreement so that there would be a positive outcome for them as well. So each person would have to advocate on their own with whatever operator is looking to come to try to give their best foot forward, to show their community as the best foot forward. But together, we want everyone to be able to benefit from that a gaming license being placed in our community. And that's how we've been working together. I am not afraid to say that I believe that the best location would be within the city of Fort Wayne because of all of the amenities that we have that would go along with it. The growth that we've seen in our community, the downtown entertainment, the opportunity for sports and gaming to be added to that just continues the growth that we've had in our area. And so we're uniquely placed in a position where we can invite outsiders for 2 hours to come to our community, where currently our residents are going outside of the state to be able to have their gaming opportunities that happen. And so, yes, of course, I want the city of Fort Wayne to be the place that it will locate, but I also recognize that if it chooses unincorporated Allen, that the city still would gain a benefit because of the negotiations that we have with the commissioners.
But you would agree that the way to maximize the proceeds is to put it in the city of Fort Wayne in a location agreed to
Absolutely.
By the chosen operator
Yeah.
that maximizes traffic.
Absolutely. Maximizes traffic, maximizes the use of amenities, encourages additional growth, expands the growth that we already have, creates the best financial outcome for the state and the city of Fort Wayne. So I 100% believe that in the boundaries of the city of Fort Wayne would be the best place and the maximize financial economic investment.
Thank you.
Representative Moed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your
Hi.
passion. And I just want to clarify my questions and comments to Representative Snow are more that that of the exclusion of the opportunity in Indianapolis. Not that we don't think that Fort Wayne should at least be able to explore this opportunity. It's just more that Indianapolis, per the study and per many stakeholders, would like to see an opportunity be able to be discussed here in Indianapolis as well.
No, I 100% understand. And if I could just expound on that, because I've thought about this myself. For me, I would ask that this body think about doing no harm. And Northeast Indiana, of course, is the only area that I currently can think of in the state that is the little blank spot where there's no gaming right now, giving us the opportunity to draw from our neighbors and from our northern neighbor and our eastern neighbor to bring their gaming individuals to our area, as opposed to us leaving the state and going there to game. With Anderson and Shelbyville, Terre Haute, and I didn't even think about French Lick being so closely related to Indianapolis, it worries me that we could bifurcate the funds that are already being received in this area and reduce those, thereby not necessarily giving us a real growth, but just spreading the money out differently. And so I believe by locating in the city of Fort Wayne, that we could actually see additional growth and revenue for the state of Indiana.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Committee, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your consideration in this hard task. And again, I avail myself to be able to help work on any legislation that's available. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Melissa Bieber, and on deck will be our 3 Steuben County folks who has to come up together.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I'm Melissa Bieber with Greater Fort Wayne, Inc., the local economic development organization and Chamber of Commerce for Fort Wayne and Allen County. We represent over 1,400 members that have over 90,000 employees in Allen County. I'm here to express our strong support for House Bill 1038, which would authorize a state licensed casino in Allen County. Allen County is a prime location for casino and a potential project of this scale. We have a growing population. Fort Wayne, if you don't know, is one of the fastest growing cities in the Midwest, and it now has 8 consecutive years of positive domestic migration. We have a skilled workforce and a business community that supports projects that elevate our competitiveness. This opportunity aligns with our long-term economic strategy and can help strengthen Allen County's position as a destination for visitors and investment. Our economic analysis shows the potential for a meaningful reoccurring local benefit of over $28 million a year in wagering and supplemental wagering taxes alone, with an additional $13 million in property tax, income tax, and food and beverage. This revenue can be reinvested directly into Allen County to support economic development, neighborhood improvements, infrastructure upgrades, public safety, and expanded social services, and help fund long-term projects that make Allen County a more competitive place to attract and retain business and talent. This is not a short-term boost. It is an investment in sustained community growth. There's also many job opportunities with over 1,000 direct jobs potential and even more in construction and indirect. A casino would attract new visitors who spend at area hotels, dine in our restaurants, attend our arts and entertainment venues, and shop at our local retail businesses. Local small businesses will benefit through supplier relationships, event partnerships, and increased foot traffic. By establishing the casino as a premier destination, it will strengthen our hospitality ecosystem and elevate Allen County's profile as a place to visit and boost our local economy. When we consider jobs, tourism, small business growth, tax revenue, community investment, and long-term economic stability, the benefits of a state licensed casino for Allen County are clear. And Greater Fort Wayne, Inc. is again here to support the opportunity of this state licensed casino in Allen County. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Questions from the committee? All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks again, Melissa. Up next, we have Will Howard, Isaac Lee, and June Julian, all from Steuben County, who asked to come up together. And on deck, we have Kathy Humberger.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, esteemed colleagues. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Will Howard. I'm the president of the Steuben County Board of Commissioners. I'm going to read from a prepared statement that I did, and you'll also receive a hard copy of it, I believe, already. This is my first time doing something for this, so if I'm a little out of sorts, please excuse me, and I'll be glad to adjust accordingly. Anyways, we came here to share our position of the findings of the Senate Enrolled Act 43 and the recently released Spectrum Gaming Group gaming study. At our commissioners meeting on November 5th, 2025, the board unanimously voted to formally indicate Steuben County's interest and openness to participate in discussion with state leadership regarding a potential casino license to Northeast Indiana. This action was not an approval of any specific project or developer or operator proposal, but rather a procedural step to ensure our county is included in the conversation should legislation go forward. Following our vote, we had asked our Economic Development Corporation and our Tourism Bureau to gather information on the potential benefits, impacts, and feasibility of such an opportunity for Steuben County. We feel that this due diligence is our responsibility to our citizens and our voters in Steuben County. Now, we understand the proxy point of that gaming study was the Interstate 69 State Road 8 corridor, which is located in Auburn, Indiana, north of Fort Wayne. And the Spectrum Gaming, solely for modeling purpose, used that location. After reviewing their full report, we believe Steuben County represents a strong location in Northeast Indiana. First of all, we have two major highways that intersect there. Interstate 69 going north and south, the I-80, I-90 toll road going east and west. That talks about location, location, location. That location, with that increased ability to capture gaming dollars that are currently going outside of our state to firekeepers in Battle Creek, to Hollywood and Toledo, more precisely. And there are a number of tribal casinos scattered throughout the southern portion of Michigan. Again, another opportunity to gather out-of-state funding. Our direct access to those makes us very unique in the ability to attract traffic from other states. Additionally, we are far enough north and far enough east that it will not cannibalize many of the other casinos that are located in central, northwestern, and southern Indiana. Additionally, we are far enough away from Indiana's equine industry, which is defined in the study as a significant industry to the state of Indiana. And it also aligns with the precedent of setting casinos in bordering counties. We border Michigan to the north, we border Ohio to the east. Importantly, we also want to emphasize that Steuben County is open to a countywide referendum. That seems to be a precedent that has been set recently in regards to assigning gaming licenses. We believe such a process provides transparency, reflects statewide precedent, and gives our residents a direct voice in establishment of a casino. And we welcome that opportunity and would fully support such a referendum. Many residents in the Northeast Indiana area, along with those in southern Michigan and Ohio, currently visit out-of-state gaming facilities due to the convenience and proximity. A Steuben County location would reverse the trend by bringing those dollars going outside of the state of Indiana back into Indiana. We fully acknowledge that any new casino license remains subject to legislative authority, the regulatory review, and the community referendum engagement, and we welcome all of those. Our November vote that we took was simply nothing more than to put Steuben County into the conversation where we can collaborate with state and local officials to make something happen. We just want a seat at the table. For all of these reasons and for many more, we respectfully request that Steuben County be included in any conversations or evaluations that follow through with SE 43. And we stand ready to participate with you to do so. I'd like to thank you for your time. I do have two other folks with me, one from our Tourism Bureau, which will provide some statistical information, and then someone from our Economic Development Group. So June Julian is our Director of Tourism. I will stand by if you have questions for me directly. We can do that now or after, whatever the chair would prefer.
We'll let all three of you speak and then do questions at the end. Thank you.
June?
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Ranking Member, and members of the esteemed Public Policy Committee. I'm thrilled to be here today at the behest of my state representative, Mr. Tony Isa here, and all three of our county commissioners who are also here. As Will pointed out, we are located in the extreme northeast corner of Indiana, bordered by Ohio and Michigan, and intersected by I-69 and I-8090. I did prepare some information. I believe Representative Isa passed it out, and I have sources for that, so you can see traffic counts. We believe Steuben County is uniquely positioned to attract a casino operator who will provide a unique destination casino experience. Steuben County has long been known as a resort destination in Indiana, dating back well over 100 years. We have 100 natural lakes. While our resident population is a static 34.6, we have 2.6 million visitors a year we welcome for 13.8 million visits. In fact, I did do some charts looking at the 13 other casinos, and I did notice that 6 of those casinos have fewer visits to their county than we do. We feel that we definitely can support an endeavor all year round and welcome more visitors. Our population ranges vary widely, and I did include those for you, but just of interest, in the summer, our average daily population ranges between 81,000 and 90,000. However, in case maybe I shouldn't tell anybody, in case they're thinking of coming up this summer, on summer weekends, it can get up to 140,000 people. So we have an extraordinarily robust visitor industry. Interestingly enough, we have a visitor industry in the winter that's quite steady also. In the weekends, in the winter on the weekends, we can welcome up to 95,000 visitors, and that's due in large part to the toboggan at Pokagon State Park. We have 4,304 seasonal lake homes in Steuben County. Only Kosciuszko County has more. What's interesting about Steuben is it is 23.7% of our available housing stock. The median household income on the lakes is over $80,000. The average household income on the lakes is over $100,000 as compared to the state of Indiana, where the average household income is $69,458. We do have significant amounts of discretionary spending in Steuben County. 38% of our visitors arrive from over 100 miles away. We already have a reputation and a great track record at attracting the out-of-state money. Nearly a full 10% of our visits, and remember, that was 13.8 million, come from 250 miles away. We actually have a strong market in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. Like I said, I also included the traffic at every exit on Interstate 69 in Steuben County, how many people exit, and that's followed by how many people are driving past on a daily average. And I did include the Indiana Toll Road. Again, please let us know if you have any questions. We believe Steuben County is uniquely positioned to maximize revenue from out of state for and in turn contribute greatly to the state of Indiana. Isaac Lee, our Economic Development Director.
Thank you, June. Thank you, County Commissioner Howard, Commissioner Laughlin, and Commissioner Shipe, who's, I think, out in the hallway. Thank you on behalf of the Steuben County Economic Development Corporation to present today. Chair, Vice Chair, Ranking Members, members of the House Public Policy Committee, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Isaac Lee. I serve currently as the CEO of the Steuben County Economic Development Corporation. I am one of the few duly accredited economic developers in this great state of Indiana. Our Steuben County officials, including our county commissioners today, and previously through a motion that we presented back in November, have asked the EDC to play a specific and dedicated role. True economic development is rooted in great statistics, great data, understanding what any project will do to your community. That is at the root of every economic development deal that is done in this great state and has been for a very, very long time. Participating in this discussion means that whether it's a relocation or a new license, a proxy point does not do it justice in terms of finding out where the best potential for the state of Indiana is to place a casino. Our role is simple. It's deliberate, but it's practical. It's to be the arm of our county officials to find and locate data that either support or help to support a location within our region of a placement of a casino. In Steuben County, I'm part of 11 LEDOs that represent Northeast Indiana. We have a common saying, county first, region next, state thereafter. What that means is, yes, we are competitive. I have colleagues that are adjacent to me in terms of economic development that we compete with. Representative Snow, Peggy Friday's a great one in Kosciuszko. She won Project Slate, which is awesome. But we are also advocates for each other in Northeast Indiana. Bill Kanye, Regional Chamber Director, is right behind me, and I sit on his board, and we have had many conversations about regional economic development. And many of us LEDOs in Northeast Indiana come to each other's support when we realize that the best opportunity might not be in our county, but also would be the best opportunity in our region. I say that today to be a little bit selfish. Steuben County is where my passion is. But again, I'm going to use that metaphor. Steuben County first, our region next, the state thereafter. I want you to remember that. Our role, again, it's simple, it's practical, as I said before. We want to understand the things that are important to our residents and make sure that we can answer those questions, as any of the communities that you'll hear either before me or after. We want to make sure that that decision also trickles up to the state's best decision for a placement of a casino. These questions matter. And we want to make sure that we prepare our elected officials for those conversations, not only at the county level, but also through our state representative, Tony Isa. Steuben County is simply asking to be a part of the conversation. The Spectrum report and Hannah News Service provided some great analysis, but it was a proxy point. Having an MBA and dealing in stats class, if you understand a proxy point, it's a matter of point to do statistical analysis. That does not extend as far north into Steuben County. And as June talked to you about statistics, we think that some of those some of the statistics in terms of the tourism travels, plus the out-of-state revenue that could come in from either Michigan or Ohio, needs to be properly evaluated and used in different proxy points. Without further ado, I want to make sure that I thank this committee for the task that you're about to embark on. I want to thank my county commissioners for trusting me to be an arm, a tool that they can use, and our trusted June Julian, who's one of the best tourism directors in our great state of Indiana. I welcome any questions.
Any questions for any of the three from Steuben County? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I would like to ask a question of Will, if I could. First of all, thank you all for being here. Thank you for advocating for your communities. I know that Tony speaks very highly of you all and the work you do up in northern Indiana. You mentioned that you'd be open to a referendum. And I'm wondering two things, if I may, Mr. Chair. One, do you have any sense of what the public feels now on a potential casino in Steuben County?
Certainly. Thank you for that question. We've had a number of discussions. I believe all the commissioners have received comments, some in favor, some against, but mostly supportive of the idea of investigating and being part of the conversation and not just ruling it out or jumping in with both feet, to speak of.
And one more, if I may, Mr. Chair. As Mayor Tucker pointed out, in Allen County, we're sort of staring down this threat of a tribal casino, which lends some urgency to our work here. Do you share the same sense of urgency with Allen County, the city of Fort Wayne? If a tribal casino were to go in Allen County, would it still make economic sense to put one in Steuben County?
I think it would still make sense to put one there just because of the traffic volume that we receive at the crossroads of those interstates, plus our draw from out of state, given the remainder of our tourism that's available for an entire experience for someone who visits. I would, if I could follow up to the first question that you had, we see Steuben County as probably the path of least resistance, being the furthest away from all the other casinos. Most of what we're going to draw is going to be from out of state. And we believe our population would be accepting of it.
And I don't mean, sorry, last, oh, go ahead. I don't mean to, I don't mean to challenge you here. I really am not trying to challenge you, but is that based on just what you think may happen if there's a casino, or do you have actual data showing that a majority of a casino in Steuben County would draw from other states?
We've statistically seen what has left basically from Allen County going north. And we also see what is drawn in from the east and the west. We have a lot of money that's leaving a state that we can recapture. So statistically, we can show that.
Thank you very much.
Representative Summers.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I stepped out. So I'm understanding that the piece of legislation that we're talking about is about Allen County, but you're from a whole nother place and you want us to forget what Allen County and go with what you want. Is that what I mean, when we boil it down to the common denominator, is that what we're saying?
Partially, yes, but what we're asking for is that the state, when they look at this, picks the best location that would maximize income to the folks in Fort Wayne. What they said, I think this would maximize the amount of traffic brought into this state by locating it in Steuben County.
Representative Summers, maybe I can help with that. So I think you walked in after opening remarks, but this is one idea. It's just a new license in Allen County. There will be other bills filed that have other ideas like Steuben County and relocation, et cetera. So we're having a broader conversation based on the brick and mortar casino market, not just the bill specifically. It's about the bill, but also a little broader.
Okay, I understand that, but I kind of think, to me, if we have a piece of legislation on Allen County, that we need to deal with that. And then when you have the other things coming, we need to deal with that when they come. But right now, I've looked at information on Allen County. So I'm sorry I left, but I had to go.
Yeah, no, you're all good.
But so it just made no sense to me coming in. I didn't understand what was going on. So I just think that if we're talking about an Allen County bill, that it should be on Allen County.
Right. But we know there will be other ideas and other bills. So we're taking all testimony and opening the conversation.
But are they not going to come back when other bills come and we have to hear the same thing over again? That's my point.
Well, not necessarily. We'll decide how we move forward next month, but we wanted to have this as a starting point and have the conversation and let folks have their say. And then we have that input as we move forward. Any other questions? Representative Lehman.
Yeah, so this is maybe more of a comment than a question. You guys are in a very unique place because I just looked at the distances. You're literally the exact same minutes of driving to Firekeepers as you would be to Fort Wayne. And if you go east and west, you're an hour and a half to South Bend and an hour and a half, basically an hour and a half to South Bend, an hour and a half to Toledo. So east and west, you're an hour and a half away. North, south, you're an hour away. But so logically, if I come to Steuben County to by Lake House, and I want to go to the casino, would I more than likely go to Allen County or would I go to Michigan? So what I'm saying is, if it's in Allen County, I think you're still going to reap the benefit potentially of some of that being in Allen County. If I'm now more likely to come to Steuben County and stay to gamble in Allen County because of the lakes, everything else you guys have to offer. Yeah.
Yes, actually, Fort Wayne is one of our larger markets. We have a lot of overnights from Fort Wayne. In particular, we have several large RV, a Jellystone and a KOA, that have a lot of seasonals, and the main place they come from is Fort Wayne. There's a lot of people from Fort Wayne who own second homes, and I feel really strongly that if they come here to go to the lake, they're not going home to go gamble. They'll want to try someplace different. We did look at Firekeepers Casino in Battle Creek, Michigan. We used a location analytics program called Placer AI, very common. It's used by well over 100 destination marketing agencies worldwide and a lot of major manufacturers to keep track of how many people are coming, going. And one of the things that you can look at is all your zip codes. I did print all the zip codes for Firekeepers Casino, many, many pages. We did highlight with a little pink highlighter and then added up all the Hoosier addresses, which were 230,000, even though they had a total of 1.9 million. Their main market did appear to be Michigan, but the Hoosiers are going there at a pretty strong rate. We believe they'd stay.
June did talk about that, and I want to point your attention to the annual average daily traffic counts. When you take a look at exit 356, 357, which go north basically from the turnpike, their average daily traffic counts are over 13,000 a day compared to the other ones that head south that are just under 12,000 a day. You could deduce from that a similar answer to your question. Further research would have to be done, but that's just some rough stats that show there's a heavy pull north.
Any further questions? Representative Mayfield, you looked like you had a question.
Well, I debated. So I am impressed with the unified approach for the entire region, regardless of which jurisdiction you are actually in. But there's one part that I keep finding to be you are not in agreement with. Is it Steuben or Steuben?
Can I just say, is it tomato or tomato?
Is that the answer, Commissioner?
Steuben.
Okay, there we go. Any further questions? All right. Thank you, all three of you, for being here. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you having us, and thank you for the service that you provide to the state, each and every one of you.
And thank you, Representative Issa, for being here as well. Up next, we have Kathy Humbarger with Matt Bell on deck.
I'm Kathy Humbarger, and I'm here today representing the Coalition for a Better Allen County, where I reside. Thank you, Chairman Manning and committee members, for the opportunity to tell you why I oppose House Bill 1038. But I will say it is good to see many of you that I have known for years. As I was preparing for this hearing, it became evident that the reason for the push to locate a casino in Allen County is based solely on economic reasons. The study from the Spectrum Gaming Group is cited as evidence. Please note the name, Spectrum Gaming Group. If this is all about economics, then you don't care about increases in bankruptcies, divorces, substance abuse, mental health issues, You don't care about the increase in human trafficking, domestic violence, corruption, as we saw in the case of former Representative Sean Eberhardt, embezzlement to pay off gambling debts. A good example of that is when the former chief financial officer for Marion Community Schools, Scott Bumgardner, was cited for appropriating funds for his own personal use. And part of that was to gamble, to feed his gambling addiction. Bumgardner admitted to having an ongoing gambling problem, which he said cost him his marriage and financially ruined his life. If this is all about economics, you don't care that a 10-year study from the University of Massachusetts Amherst researchers revealed that 90% of visitors to casinos are there for entertainment purposes, and 10% of gamblers who visit casinos are problem gamblers, those that have an addiction. However, 90% of the profits of casinos come from 10% of addicted gamblers, while 10% of their profits come from the 90% that go for entertainment. If this legislation is as it appears and is solely about economic gain, please know that it comes with a huge price to those of us who live in Allen County. Since I've fought against a casino locating in downtown Fort Wayne 15 years ago, the development has been phenomenal. Parkview Field, Headwaters Park, the library expansion, to name a few. Despite the argument then that downtown Fort Wayne would die without a casino. We did not need a casino then, and we don't need one now. A good friend, Father Frank Pavone, gave me wise advice years ago, and he said, you can't practice vice virtuously. One additional point, the concern that an Indian casino will open soon. It is my understanding that the Indian tribe owning land in Allen County can open a casino anytime they want, regardless of a state-run casino operating in close proximity. I would ask you to fully investigate the suitability of that land for a casino and what would be needed to locate a full-service casino there. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions from the committee? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kathy, are you aware of any other community that currently has a casino in Indiana looking to get rid of their casino? It's been terrible for them. They want it out.
I'm speaking to the impact on Allen County, and here's part of the problem, Representative Walker. I'm sorry.
Happens all the time. You're good.
Okay. Sorry. Please forgive me. I'm old. To that point, we have no sound studies that show what the impact is on communities in Indiana. There are plenty of studies out there, most of them funded by the gaming industry, that report how wonderful they are. So at the least, I would recommend adding to this bill a study to find out what the impact is. I don't know that those people who have currently have casinos in their cities realize the price they're paying because they don't have this information. Has anybody tracked the cost of some of the things that I've mentioned in my testimony? So at the very least, I would recommend commissioning a nonpartisan, not connected to the gaming industry, study to really determine what that impact is, because we don't know.
And I hear your opinion, but it doesn't really answer the question, because even without data, if there's a mayor that hears from a police chief that, God, after we got this casino, burglaries are up 90%. What data do they need to go, maybe this was a bad idea? And I'm just asking if you are aware that the state currently has 13 licenses. Are you aware of any other municipality, county, anything that is actively trying to get rid of their casino because it was a bad move?
I am not. I would ask those locations if they have looked at the statistics and connected them to casino.
So you're saying that these things have gone up,
I'm not
and
saying, I'm
cities
saying
are
I
turning
don't know.
cities are turning a blind eye to it because
I'm saying I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Thank you very much, Kathy. Matt Bell with Kristen Bissons on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members of the Public Policy Committee. My name is Matt Bell, appearing on behalf of the Casino Association of Indiana. We appreciate the opportunity to have a wonderful discussion on gaming, and we thank Representative Snow for his work. We thank you as a committee for your attention today and your questions, and Mr. Chair, certainly for your leadership on this issue for years. The Casino Association of Indiana does not support House Bill 1038 and does not support the introduction of new licenses in the state of Indiana. And why is that? In Indiana, our operators are phenomenal. We have some of the best casino operators in the world right here in the state of Indiana. And they compete not only with other properties in the state for customers and to provide the best experience possible for their guests, they compete with other properties from around the country to attract capital to continue to improve those properties for Hoosiers. If y'all make a decision to create new licenses in Indiana, then you are injecting tremendous uncertainty into that investment market. You're making it much harder to bring capital to the state of Indiana. Beyond that, you're raising red flags for the industry, who is now saying, why now? Why this move? And what might be next? In Indiana, we pay an effective tax rate of just over 30% in gaming. In Nevada, that tax rate is 6.75%. But in Nevada, competition isn't limited. You pay a lower tax rate and you know that there will be competition everywhere that there is. In a regional market like Indiana, it's a very different dynamic. You make the decision as a company to be in a market, even when there's a higher tax rate, based on the certainty and conditions in the market that you're entering. If the decision is made by the legislature to move licenses, that throws incredible uncertainty into those decision-making processes and makes Indiana less attractive for capital going forward. We've talked a lot today, and we've listened to some of the wonderful folks from Northeast Indiana who've had a debate about this issue for 20 years, say it's really important that we act fast. Speed is what we've heard over and over again. I want to encourage y'all to consider the fact that when you're looking at gaming legislation, speed ought never be the driving concern. Ensuring that we are going to get our policy correct, that we're going to do it in a transparent way, that we're going to do it in a way that Hoosiers can be proud of and follow, is exceptionally important. Speed shouldn't be a consideration. A foreign nation shouldn't dictate our decision about gaming in Northeast Indiana. And I worry about this proposition that we can use a commercial casino in Northeast Indiana as a line of defense against a potential tribal casino. We've kind of heard that alluded to today. I'm going to suggest to y'all, as you consider this bill over the next month, to think really closely about whether or not that is true. We need look only to the new Buffalo Casino, which opened 12 miles from Blue Chip after Blue Chip had been up and running for years. My point in sharing this with you is only this. I think it is a misconception to suggest that if we put a commercial casino in a community, a tribal casino may not follow. We've seen it happen in New Buffalo and South Bend, despite the proximity of commercial casinos there. Nothing that you do as legislators will determine the decision that an independent foreign nation makes about gaming in Indiana. So I want to be careful and want y'all to think through that question of, would this protect us from a tribal casino? I don't believe that answer is yes. At the end of the day, we are thankful for the opportunity to testify. We appreciate the work that Representative Snow has done to put together a proposal. It's unfortunate that we cannot support it today, but we do look forward to being a part of the conversation going forward. We ask y'all only to oppose this bill and to not sacrifice speed for thoroughness, diligence, and a study of what the impact will be. Thanks. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Matt. So, of course, Senate Public Policy had a lengthy hearing last year on Senator Zay's bill. We have this here now. We did the study in the meantime. Do you think we're moving too quickly, taking a year pause when this idea of, I mean, obviously a lot of these ideas have been out there for many years, if not decades, but are we moving too quickly after having done all this in the last 12 months?
As we look at the process laid out in the bill, what the process does not encourage is the input and voice of local citizens in a referendum. That would be unique in Indiana's history. It would be a different way to move a license. We've never moved a license and not said that a community needs to affirmatively welcome it. So when we look at that element, that we're going to sacrifice transparency for speed, when we say we need to do this and we need to do it now to prevent, yes, I think that we are unfortunately not taking the full measure of the impact of moving licenses in Indiana into effect.
Well, what more could we do for transparency? We have a hearing now. We've had the study. I mean, what have we not done that we should have done to meet your transparency threshold?
I don't know that we've defined the need. Why? Why gaming? Why move a license? Why relocate a license? What is the state's compelling interest to do that? I'm yet to understand why in 2025 it's necessary to wreck the ecosystem that's been established for 30 years only to create a new license that a community citizens have not affirmatively asked for.
Well, we have the elected representatives of that community here now saying that they're willing to accept the casino. So let's talk relocation versus new license. You mentioned both in your remarks. The association's opposed to Representative Snow's bill for a new license. Is it the same opposed to any relocation idea?
We have not taken a position on the issue of relocation.
So in the study, a relocated license or even a new license showed pretty small impact. I think it was 16 million in gross gaming revenue or something to existing Indiana casinos for Northeast Indiana location. Is $16 million wrecking the ecosystem?
Making a decision that we will move licenses because we can says to leaders of publicly traded companies that consistency and a regulatory framework is no longer important in Indiana, that instead we'll chase revenue rather than think about a comprehensive gaming policy.
But haven't we passed, I don't know, several major gaming bills in the last 30 years and many more smaller ones? I mean,
in the last 30
everyone
years,
knows that this
yes.
is all subject to change every time the legislature meets. Is that not the case?
It is absolutely subject to change anytime the legislature meets. Y'all created this industry. You've enabled it to operate in Indiana. We've been great partners in doing that. To your point, Mr. Chairman, we've created thousands of jobs, hundreds of millions of dollars in investment, and continue to be the fourth largest revenue driver in the state of Indiana. But we recognize very clearly that we are in Indiana at the invitation of the legislature and our host communities. You certainly have the right to change the market anytime that you choose to. There are consequences to your actions.
Yep, understood. So we talked about the tribal casino, and I do think there is a real threat of a tribal casino in Allen County, no matter if we pass this bill or any version of this bill or not. I think that's a real concern. You talked about Blue Chip. I mean, they're still making money, right? Of course, they took a hit when a tribal casino opens just 13 miles from them. But
when both tribal casinos opened
right.
in very close proximity to them.
But they're still profitable. At Blue Chip, is that correct?
Blue Chip turns a profit. That's
right.
correct.
Yep. And so it would still be better, ultimately long run for the region and for the state if we had a commercial casino paying more taxes, providing more jobs that is under state control and state licensure, even if a tribal casino were to open, even after a commercial casino did.
And if chasing that golden egg of a new license meant that casinos decided that Indiana is no longer a good market for investment, and we're not going to see the $500 million investments in Hammond and in East Chicago that we've seen that have paced economic growth, then I think you would have made a choice that in the long run hurts Indiana more than it helps.
How do we determine that outcome, right? How do we see into the future versus the data that we already have from the study and the other conversations?
I think it's really important to have a robust conversation with operators from around the country who have seen such changes occur and understand from their perspective and from those who have watched these changes in other markets what the real impacts are and not guess.
All right. Any other questions? Representative Van Natter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You took my question, but I did want to follow up. So you haven't taken a position on relocation.
Correct. The association
But
is not.
we're here meeting, and that is part of the discussion. When will you guys make that decision? That's something I would think you would want to be a part of the discussion on.
Certainly. And we have members who are on both sides of that debate, as is true in most associations. Our board continues to work through it very diligently. And we hope that when y'all return in January, we can have a very coherent and clear policy statement on relocation to share with you.
Representative Mayfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, good. My predecessor here answered two of my questions. I have one left. You talked about the tax rate and stability, and predictability in the Indiana market. Nevada, you mentioned, was 6% roughly.
6.75%.
And Indiana's is
largely.
about 30. And this bill requires or calls for a minimum bid of $50 million for the license.
Mm-hmm.
And it would go up from there. Knowing that you have an upfront cost, a fixed upfront cost, and you can, calculate that into your business plan. In Nevada, with a 6%, what do their licenses go for? What is their process? Is it a competitive? It's just pay the fee, open up another one?
Yeah. I will get you the Nevada process. I don't want to speak to it because I'm afraid I'll misrepresent it standing here, but I will get that process to you.
Is it a legislative issue like it is in Indiana?
No.
Okay, so it's a procedural. It's a process they go through. So they really don't have limits as long as.
Correct. It's a different regulatory structure altogether. Now there's a lower tax rate, but you've got competitors everywhere, right? You're dividing that pie. In Indiana, we've said historically that's not what we want to do.
So Indiana, it's highly regulated. And I'm not saying it's highly regulated, not highly regulated in Nevada,
It is.
but it is a more market driven. You make the decisions where even if we were to relocate an Indiana license, it still requires legislative action.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Miller, Clere. Representative Clere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to go back to what Representative Van Natter asked about the association's lack of a position on moving an existing license, which if we're going to do this seems to make the most sense to me. When Indiana established the 3 licenses in the Cincinnati market, there was no casino gaming in Ohio.
That's right.
And now there is a casino in Cincinnati. I believe it's been there for at least 10 years now, right?
I think you're right on 10 years. It's somewhere in that 8 to 12 range.
So would the association, if we didn't have casinos in Indiana today and Ohio had gotten there first, would the association support the location of 3 licenses in the Indiana portion of the Cincinnati market?
I think that's been a wonderful market for the Casino Association of Indiana. You know, there was a time before Ohio allowed and regulated casino gambling that the property in Lawrenceburg was the most active and generated the most revenue of any inland barge in America. It was really an amazing time. Now, when competition opened, overnight, 30% of that business went away. And it took 10 years to get back to the point that you had been when competition came into the market. The Casino Association of Indiana will always prioritize gaming in Indiana first, integrity and ethics. So I believe that today we would support that market. We have found it to be successful. We would enter it probably with different expectations than we did 30 years ago when there was no competition, but I think it's proven to be a viable market.
But it has never fully recovered from the competition in Cincinnati.
That is correct. I would say that's correct.
Right.
Yes.
Yet the association would still support 3 licenses in that very saturated market if the legislature were doing this over today.
If those communities chose to accept gaming, and if operators could make a case to operate there, I think they'd look very closely. I don't think they would exclude it, but I think they would look at the economic case, the demographic case, and the opportunity to thrive in that region. We would support it.
So based on that, if the Allen County community and operators were to come together and decide that relocating a casino to Allen County made sense for the community and the operator, then wouldn't the association support that, again, based on what you just said?
No, we'd support our members who have said that when you create, move, or relocate licenses, you cause confusion, uncertainty in a market that limits the flow of capital into a market and makes other markets more attractive. And so we would take that position, the position I've just taken and described.
I'm confused now. You would take what position?
We will support Indiana casinos. We oppose the movement of a casino, and I don't have a position on relocation, Representative Clere.
Well, you just said you oppose the movement of a
We
casino.
oppose a new license.
Oh,
We
okay.
do not have a position on relocation.
Okay. Even if one of your members wishes to relocate and it
We
makes
have a member who wishes to relocate, and we have not taken a position, Representative Clere.
and even if it makes economic sense for both the operator and the community to which it would be relocating?
And I think we worry about the larger ecology of the gaming community throughout the state and what the challenge to that is and how the uncertainty impacts capital flow into the state of Indiana from publicly traded companies.
Thank you.
Matt, I don't remember, so this is why I'm asking. Did the association have a position on the 2019 bill, which included 2 relocations, basically?
Late in session, the board voted to support it in a close vote, and the board has voted to oppose House Bill 1038 and has not taken a position yet on relocation.
But the association, right, in the
late in
past
session,
supported.
yes.
Got it. Representative Miller, come back in. Or you want to follow up? Yep, go ahead.
If I remember correctly, to clarify, I don't think the bill really existed until late in the session.
Well, yeah,
I don't agree
there are
with
a
that.
lot of changes throughout the process.
I think it was amended into another bill that
I think it had to come back and be in a House bill.
Yeah.
Because of raising revenue. But yeah, it went through a lot of major changes.
But I think you make an excellent point about the association's involvement in legislation that provided for relocation of licenses.
Yep.
So thank you for raising that.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt, I understand you all haven't taken a position on relocation. Is it fair to say that your stabilization, your destabilization, or instability argument would be the same for relocation versus creating a new license?
I think there are some in the association who have that concern, and that may be part of the reason that to date we have not come to a position, but we'll continue to work through that.
So I think at one point you mentioned, and I could be wrong, that I think you used the word relocation. Understanding you haven't taken a position, but relocation. What compelling interest is there to the state to relocate a license?
Yes,
and I would argue that the current ask to relocate a license is not just coming out of nowhere just for fun. A company says we should relocate because it'll be fun. The revenues are declining for that particular casino. Would you agree?
I think that they have worked very hard to generate every bit of revenue possible from that property, and they continue to, and would invite you to go enjoy Christmas.
Sure.
Rising
Absolutely.
Sun, Indiana.
But trying and increasing revenues are two very different things. But the compelling interest, I think, to the state would be that the tax revenue. And so the alternative, I think, is if those revenues continue to decline and that casino has to shut down, what would that not cause? That would assume the transfer of that license, right? It would either go back to the state or they would sell that license to another operator who would likely come back for a relocation because they're not just going to buy a license to not use it. Would that not equal the same type of instability? Are we not headed, in your opinion, aren't we headed toward instability? We're either headed toward instability now, or we're headed toward instability if this casino doesn't if the revenues don't increase. Does that make sense, or did I muddy the waters?
I think I understood what you asked me, and I'll do my best to answer it. Right. We believe that the language in Representative Snow's bill that creates a new license in Allen County creates an environment of uncertainty that is going to hinder the flow of capital into Indiana. It's going to make Indiana a less attractive market for investment because now, to your point, the state has decided we need revenue, so we'll go create another license. And 2 years from now, as you sit in a boardroom and evaluate where am I putting my money, you ask yourself, if Indiana finds itself in a similarly difficult fiscal position, will they come back and talk about Indianapolis? Or will they talk about name the community? And so you've created this where there had been relative stability for 30 years. You're now creating unknowns that make companies say, why is Indiana the right investment? Can we trust that where we are today is where we'll be after my hundreds of millions of dollars are invested in the state of Indiana? So that's why I worry about instability. But if revenue is the reason you're doing this, and you mentioned that revenue is the reason we're doing this, there are other alternatives. iGaming is an alternative that generates almost as much revenue, if not more, and upsets no markets that exist today. So this is not the only revenue option. And that's why it's important to go slow. That's why it's important to be deliberate. And that's why it's important to make decisions on the basis of public policy, not just revenue.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I would remind everyone this committee passed iGaming last year. So Matt, my question is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that all of the casinos in Indiana, so presumably all of your members provided anonymous data to Spectrum to do the study.
Yeah.
So as we look at the relatively small impact of existing Indiana casinos, if we locate a casino in Northeast Indiana, when we're talking, billions of dollars in overall gaming revenue, does the association or any members disagree with Spectrum's figures and what they've come up with, or any of their methodology?
The association believes that when we make a decision 30 years into the game that it's just time to create a new license because the state needs money, you create uncertainty and investment conditions that don't favor Hoosiers and Hoosier communities. And because of that, we oppose a new license as written in House Bill 1038. And regardless of how I feel about it, as investment officers from those companies sit around boardrooms and make those decisions, that uncertainty matters much more to them than it does to me personally because of their duty to their shareholders.
Yes, I see that, and I tend to agree. I mean, I prefer a relocation over a new license myself. And we do also recognize that if we relocate, let's say Rising Sun, for example, that Lawrenceburg and Belterra would benefit from that. And they would see much of those players and that revenue going to the remaining two casinos in that market.
I think our competitors would work really, really hard to attract that business. I think competitors from out of state would work really, really hard too. But I worry that if we have a couple of years of rough economics in Southern Indiana, does Belterra say, look, we just can't make it either. So now we need to come move. Or if we have a downturn in Evansville and the economy turns badly there, does someone say, Fishers and Hamilton County is really growing fast. That'd be a great place to put in. Boy, think about the state revenue that you'd maximize if you put it there. You could do all kinds of things with that money. That's what we're worried about. And that's what we believe is the unfortunate byproduct of House Bill 1038.
Other questions, Representative Lucas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What is the anticipated revenue that this new casino will bring into the state only?
Do you have the Spectrum report, maybe?
Somewhere in the 60 million range, I think, Representative Lucas. 60 million or so.
I'd like to point out that if legalizing cannabis is anticipated to bring in 150 to 200 million, if revenue is why we're doing
We'll
this.
make sure Ways and Means knows that, Representative Lucas. Representative Clere?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bell,
Sir.
You mentioned state revenue again, but wasn't generating state revenue the original reason for casino gambling in Indiana? And shouldn't that be a primary consideration of policymakers now and in the future?
I don't know. When I look at the purpose of the Riverboat Act, it says the purpose is to encourage economic development and job growth. It does not talk about growing state revenues. So from a purpose standpoint, economic development and job growth belied bringing gaming to Indiana, not state revenue. That's in code.
Well, maybe we should amend that.
Well, a new casino in Northeast Indiana would certainly provide economic development and job growth if we're talking about that purpose.
Yeah, no question.
But growing revenue has not been the purpose for which your predecessors chose gaming, at least in an articulated fashion.
Well, the legislature is not always articulate. I think if we were to go back to news coverage, we would find that however it was codified, certainly revenue was one of the original justifications and probably the biggest justification for casino gambling, and certainly job creation and economic development are part of that revenue generation. But I think it's problematic when you suggest that generating state revenue should not be a primary consideration.
Just think gaming demands much more focus than as a revenue generator and needs to be considered very carefully.
Certainly, there are lots of components, but generating revenue is a key component, both state and local revenue.
I appreciate that.
Any further questions? Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you, Chairman.
Up next, we have Kristen Bissons with Mitch Harper on deck.
Good morning. It's still morning. My name is Kristen Bissons. Excuse me. And I am here as a resident of Allen County, also as one of the members of the Coalition for a Better Allen County. I'm a full-time homeschooling mom of 4 kids. And took a lot out of my day to drive down here. So I thank you for your time and appreciate you listening to me. And I'm sorry that Mayor Tucker isn't here because I was hoping maybe she could listen to some of the comments, but maybe she'll listen outside. I moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana in 1992 as a very naive and wide-eyed 21-year-old graduate of college. And when I came to Fort Wayne, I came from Cincinnati. I grew up in the outskirts of Cincinnati, big town, lots of things to do. And I came to Fort Wayne and thought, this is a godforsaken place. This is terrible. There's nothing to do here. And I tried for 2 years to leave. And everyone said the same thing. Don't go. Fort Wayne is a great place to raise a family. There's so much here to do. It is so great for moms and dads. It is just a family-friendly location. Just stick it out. Well, by the grace of God, I didn't end up leaving. Every avenue I tried brought me back to Fort Wayne. I ended up finding my sweetheart. He was from New Haven, graduated from New Haven High School. And we got married and had kids. And at the time, I was completely asleep as to what was going on politically. So I'm so thankful that in the 2008-2009 timeframe, when a casino tried to relocate in Fort Wayne, Indiana, there were people that went before me, like Kathy Humbarger, like John Pop and others, who really fought against the notion of landing a casino in this very family-friendly place. I was busy in 2008, 2009, doing exactly what Fort Wayne is meant to do, raising my family. And it wasn't until last year that I really got involved in researching the detriments of a casino when they tried to bring one again to my backyard. I now live in rural Allen County. I don't live in Fort Wayne any longer. And so now that this expansion is in Allen County, it could land anywhere. It's once again in my backyard. And I will point out, as Kathy did, that all the stuff that we've seen, there was a study done in 2019. It was a look back over the last 10 plus years of downtown Fort Wayne and the greater Fort Wayne area, and the massive amount of revitalization that took place over that 10-year period. The before and after pictures are amazing. And all of that was done, wait for it, without a casino. The revenue was not needed. It was done organically. It was done by local businesses who did not need to sit and straddle money from a casino. Fast forward to 2024, 2025. Last year, there was a grassroots movement. I've got the front page of a petition that was signed when the casino was attempting to come to Fort Wayne, with over 1,550 signatures of people, farmers, business owners, people that lived in the community and said, look, I don't want this in my backyard. And that was when they were focusing on New Haven, Indiana, not Allen County as a whole and not Fort Wayne as a whole, but just New Haven, little old New Haven. And these people said, no, thank you, we don't want it. Here we are again. I'm sure if we sent this petition out again, you would get even more grassroots people coming and saying, no, thank you, we don't want this in our backyard. There's a reason why Spectrum Gaming came to the conclusion that Fort Wayne would be a great place to have a casino, because there's none there. It is ripe virgin territory to come in and to take from the economics that are there, the people that are there. You guys are all talking about job creation and economic benefit and everything else. You've not taken into consideration the social impact that's going to come when a casino comes. I don't want to bore you with a bunch of statistics, but I'm going to nonetheless. I'm a homeschool mom. We thrive on statistics. The National Council on Problem Gambling currently reports that between 3 and 4% of U.S. adults would be identified as problem gamblers. 3 and 4% of my neighbors are going to become problem gamblers because there's not a casino there now. They're not problem gamblers in Fort Wayne now, but they will be. Between 15 and 33% of gambling revenue is generated by individuals with problem gambling. The statistic that Kathy said earlier, 10% of that revenue is going to come from those problem gamblers, come from my neighbors who are elderly and on fixed incomes, who come in wearing astronaut pants and pull-ups so that they could sit in front of their slot machines for hours on end and not leave just in case they get a hit. Gambling, especially slot machines, is more addictive than cocaine. No one is talking about the social impact of what's about to happen here when you bring a casino in to virgin territory. I have one study that says 83% of the revenue for casinos, these riverboat casinos, is from residents, my neighbors. You're coming to pillage my village. These are my neighbors. They're not coming from people from Ohio. It's not coming from people from Michigan. It's not coming from people from outside. It's the residents. It's my neighbors that this is gonna impact. One study observed 44% of gamblers regarded as heavy consumers had sometimes taken high interest loans for their gambling and is more common among female than males. You want to talk about predatory gambling? And let's just define what predatory gambling is. It's not a bunch of guys getting together in their garage to play a round of poker. It's not a charity gaming where, we're going to go ahead and raise some money. Predatory gambling has that word predatory in it for a reason. It is preying on people and preying on communities. It is stealing the wealth out of the area. It's not necessarily bringing in more jobs. It is, in fact, cannibalizing the jobs that are already there. We're not Las Vegas. I hate to say it. I love Fort Wayne, and I've come to really love it now that I've lived here and, raised a family. It's not Las Vegas. We're not bringing in high-paying jobs. In fact, a lot of those jobs are going to be temporary jobs that they come in for construction. A lot of those hospitality jobs and dealer jobs, they're going to be part-time. We're not talking about really investing in the community. Although it looks great on paper, and I love the presentations where it says the millions and millions of dollars that are coming in. I've got a study actually from an economist from Baylor University that says for every dollar that is generated in revenue out of a casino, there's $3 that go back out. Those $3 that are going back out are on the backs of social services that must come in and take care of those people who are filing for bankruptcy, take care of the drug addiction, take care of the fentanyl traffic, take care of the sex trafficking that comes in, as well as the personal wealth that is lost on a daily basis. You go to any of these casinos, and it's not this rah-rah party that you see. It's the regulars. You talk to anybody that's a dealer in any of these casinos, and they'll tell you, oh, I know who the regulars are. They come in here all the time, and they gamble their entire paycheck. Yes, there are provisions in place. There are self-exclusionary things where somebody can say, hey, I've got a problem gambling. I'm going to put myself on a list so that I don't end up selling the farm. The problem with the self-exclusionary list is It doesn't come into check unless the person wins. And they go back to cash out only to find, oh, you're on the exclusionary list. We can't pay out because you're not allowed to gamble here. We brought Les Burnell, who is the executive director of Stop Predatory Gambling, to come and to testify last year in front of the Senate committee when a bill came through to relocate the license. And he talked about the dangers over and over and over again. We had invested individuals in Fort Wayne that said, it's not just the committee down here in the Senate that needs to hear this information. We need to bring this to the city of Fort Wayne. And so we did in March. We had a anonymous beneficiary who paid for his travel and paid for all of his expenses to come. And he spoke to city council. All were invited. Only a few attended. County council. All were invited. Few attended. The mayor in her office, I don't believe that she came. We had the sheriff there. We had a bunch of other elected officials that came in and listened to his presentation. And every single one of those people that we talked to, that I talked to, said, yeah, this is not a good idea for Fort Wayne. This is not who we are, and this is not what we do. We don't want this. In fact, I'm having chats right now with my county commissioner. And he's saying, I've not agreed to any of this. I'm looking at whether or not this is actually going to be benefit for the citizens of Fort Wayne, and I think the jury's still out. I'll leave you with this. I have raised my kids in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I now have a 22, 20, 18, and 16-year-old. I would love for them to be able to stand in front of all of you someday and say, you know what? Fort Wayne is a great place to raise a family. It's still a great place to raise a family because I don't want them to have to go downtown and worry about whether or not there's going to be sex trafficking going on. My girls are beautiful. Something ever happened to them, the homeschool mama bear in me would come out. But I think of all those young ladies who have to walk around a casino and find themselves their next customer on the floor of a casino. It breaks my heart. I don't want more fentanyl traffic to be taking place. I don't want people suffering from personal bankruptcies. I don't want to see the money drain going out of pocket. I want Fort Wayne to stay a great place to raise a family. So I'm going to ask you to oppose this bill, and I'm going to ask you not to pillage my village. Thank you. I'm open for questions if you have any.
Thank you. Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate your passion. I first want to say that I think that you and I and Kathy would 100% agree that the way we do problem gambling in this state is abhorrent. I think we spend like $100,000 a year on problem gambling. It needs to be much, much, much more. The resources need to be much more vast because we have decided we're a gaming state. And so if we're going to do that, we need to take care of the most vulnerable. You said that a majority of people oppose this, but a poll in Allen County showed that 54% supported the casino. Does that not show a majority supporting a casino?
I would have to ask about your methodology in polling.
I'll flip it around. Do you have any data showing that that's not the case?
I've not conducted any polls, no.
Okay.
This has all just been the fact that last year we had a lot of grassroots support, people that came down here and testified, as well as the people that went ahead and these were people who signed and did this petition with no kickbacks, no remuneration, no promises, nothing other than I just don't want this in my geography.
You implied that a casino is not family friendly, that it ravages families in communities. Do you have any evidence, any data to show that in areas that have casinos that families are flocking out of those areas?
Do I have any data that shows they're flocking out of those areas?
Yeah, if it's
no, but there's plenty of data that shows the high percentage of things like bankruptcies and divorce rates, an uptick in domestic abuse and domestic violence, and uptick in crime.
But but I'll pose this. This will be my last one, Mr. Chair. I'll pose the same thing that I posed to Kathy. Are you aware of, with all of these very negative things, a raise in crime, a raise in divorce, a raise in bankers, are you aware of any other community that currently has a casino that is actively trying to get it out of their community?
No, because we have individuals who come and say, look at the shiny thing that we're bringing. We heard testimony last year from the folks that said, we got new police cars. We got a good library. We got this, without addressing the backside of the things that come downriver and downstream of that. And it may take a year, it may take up to 4 years to be able to see the detriment that takes place. And the fact that you talked about, wow, we've got however many hundred of millions of dollars that we have to address this compulsive gambling issue that we have. Okay, yeah, it's there. Why would you want to bring more? And why would you want to bring it to my backyard?
Thank you.
Further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Kristen. Up next, we have Midge Harper with Brian Elmore and Tony Renz on deck. Is former Representative Harper out there somewhere?
I think he had a doctor's appointment. I saw him briefly.
All right, well, we can move on to Brian and Tony. They asked to come up together, representing the Horsemen.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of Public Policy. My name is Brian Elmore, and I represent the Indiana Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association, which is the owners and trainers that race thoroughbreds in the state of Indiana. And a little bit of personal history about myself. I was born and raised in Sullivan, Indiana. 4 weeks from today, I'll start my 50th year in the parimutuel racing industry. And a lot of people don't know that back in the 70s, Sullivan County was a hotbed for quarter horse racing. It was a hotbed, it was the hottest bed east of the Mississippi because most of your quarter horse racing was out west. I've done everything from own, train, work as an official at a racetrack, be in management, be in executive management, vice president, track general manager, 4 different racetracks, 2 of these here in Indiana. I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but I do speak from my heart. I do have a passion about this industry. And I would like to appreciate Representative Baird's comments when he started and testimony today. And I'm glad to see Executive Director of the Indiana Horse Racing Commission, Mike Smith, here, who also moonlights as Deputy Director of the Gaming Commission. So, and also to see Secretary of Business Affairs, Mike Speedy. I know these are important items to them. I've seen many of you at this table at our special gatherings for races or at the farms to come out and see what actually goes on behind the scenes of racing. And Mr. Chairman, I've actually seen some of your members here actually take the reins of a drive cart and attempt to drive a standardbred. And I pretty well can assure you there's no one on this committee that's going to be a race driver. Okay.
I could have probably guessed that, Brian.
But they gave it a good effort. They gave it a good effort. And quickly recapping a little bit of history of the racing industry. It was created in 1993 in special session. The Riverboat Gaming and Parimutuel Wagering Act was passed. And one of the architects of that bill was the late Representative Dick Thompson, Representative Jeff Thompson's father. And he was very adamant at the time about how the parimutuel racing industry needs to share in the revenues from Riverboat Gaming because he knew of the benefits it would be to the Indiana agribusiness. Fast forward to 2007, the General Assembly enacted legislation that would allow each of the 2 racetracks to have 2,000 slot machines and become what's known as a racino, a combination racetrack and casino. And I appreciate your question and comments earlier, Representative Mayfield, about the licensing fee. In 2007, each of the racetracks paid a licensing fee of $250 million for 2,000 slot machines, no table games, nothing else but slot machines. So if you take in inflation and calculation, I would only assume that the price of admission now would be closer to 400 million. But that's something that you all will end up deciding. Our concern in the racing industry is any new casino license or relocation of a license might overlap with our territory that we have with our racinos, and it would be cannibalizing from them, and it would reduce the funds going to the pari-mutuel racing industry. And we're at the time now, it's been 5 years basically, since the horse racing industry has got any increase in purses, money that they run for. And it's almost like for our trainers and owners, you can imagine if you're a business and you're paying somebody $20 an hour, let's say, and for 5 years they haven't had a raise. And then you're going to come along and say, oh, by the way, this new casino, man, it's going to have a negative impact on this. And so we're going to have to reduce your wages from $20 to $16 an hour to compensate for that. While their expenses are going up the last 5 years, you know what inflation has been for the last 5 years? Pick a number, 20, 25, 30%. I mean, it's a fine line right now for these people that make these investments. And these people are all in. They're doing the best they can. But I think we're at a time too, as you consider things, that we find ways to help grow our industry. Because we've gone from an initial $200 million industry back in 1995 to where we are now of a $2 billion annual economic impact for the state of Indiana. I'd be glad to answer any questions now, or allow my associate, Tony Rentz, Executive Director of the Indiana Standardbred Association, to speak, and then be glad to answer any questions.
Let's go with Tony and then do questions after that.
Good morning. So many good speakers here today. I've got a lot on my shoulders here to try to carry this load. I'm going to pass around just a handout, and I'm going to come back here shortly and kind of refer to that handout. My name's Tony Renz. I'm the Executive Director for the Indiana Standardbred Association. A little about myself. I'm not a native Hoosier. I'm originally from Kentucky. I came into the state of Indiana in '98 and was part of the opening team of Caesars Southern Indiana. Once again, in '07, I came up to the Indianapolis area and was part of the opening team of Hoosier Park. For the last 5 years, I've operated as the Executive Director for the Indiana Standardbred Association. So I've been on both sides of what you're discussing today. And I'm very proud to stand here and represent the horsemen that race at Anderson and also at the 9 county fairs. If you're not aware, we do race at 9 county fairs throughout Indiana, all the way from Goshen to Harrison County, Shelbyville, Frankfort, you name it. We're kind of all over the place, but 160 days a year, we do race at Hoosier Park in Anderson. My horsemen that I represent, many come from out of state. They relocate here. They bring their families. And when I say they relocate, they don't just buy a house. They don't just buy a car. These people come here and they buy farms and they build barns and they buy trucks and they buy equipment to operate the track. I've got one of them here with me, Robert Taylor. Robert's originally from Tennessee. Robert brought his family here, has 100 acres in the Anderson area where he has developed, and he actually has his own horses, trains, drives, owns. He also rents out some of his stalls at his barns to others out there. Robert employs 12 people. He spends a great deal of money here in this area. My president, John DeLong, he comes from Wisconsin. A lot of these guys raced in Illinois for years. Illinois horse racing did not protect itself. The state did not protect itself. At one time, Illinois was Maywood, Balmoral, Arlington. Hawthorne is hanging on by the thread. A lot of these guys came to Indiana because they've seen a vision 25, 30 years ago that Indiana racing was going to become something special, and it is. Hoosier Park Standardbred Racing in North America is in the top 3 in North America tracks. You're talking against Meadowlands in New Jersey, Woodbine Mohawk in Toronto, Hoosier Park in Anderson. The thoroughbred quarter horse side. At one time, I would say, and I come from Kentucky, I would say Indiana Grand, Horseshoe, Indianapolis was probably at best a C- level track. Today, that track is, I would say, a B+, A- level track. They're handling 9 million on Indiana Derby Day. So these two facilities have come a long way, and it's because of the horsemen. It's because of the track owners that had a vision. It's because of the legislation. Brian spoke a little bit about the economic impact study Purdue University did in 2010. We were just under $1 billion of an economic impact on the state of Indiana. We came back in 2021 and presented in 22 the economic impact, again by Purdue University, by some of the same people that did the same study in 2010 to 2021, and we grew to a $2 billion economic impact. And you know, I love car racing. Not always, but once I moved to Indiana, I fell in love with it. 2 months before we came out with our economic impact study, IndyCar came out with theirs. And I was like, oh my gosh, they came out with $1.3 billion impact. We're $2 billion impact. We're in all 92 counties. The sheet that I passed out to you, that represents where our Indiana horsemen and horsewomen reside. And that's just the horsemen and horsewomen. That's not the places where they're buying equipment, buying grain, going to restaurants, investing. That just represents the horsemen. Horse racing employs just over 10,000 people. I find it interesting. Again, I came from the gaming world also. Currently, in the Indiana Gaming Insight, casinos in Indiana are currently employing about 6,600 people. Horse racing's 10,000 jobs in 92 counties. We touch all of them. Legislators and legislation in the General Assembly over the years, and I want to read this just because it's such a good line. I didn't write it. One of my lobbyists did. But over the years has done a great job identifying locations so to maximize economic impact while minimalizing impact on other properties. We've heard from the track owners. They're concerned if a license is going to get too close to Anderson or Shelbyville, and they're watching that. And if it does, they'll pull back. They won't invest more in the property. Horseshoe, I keep calling Indiana Grand. I worked down there for a while. Horseshoe, Indianapolis, they just recently in the last couple of years did a $64 million renovation. Hoosier Park and Anderson just recently did a $40 million renovation. Those renovations won't continue if you put too much competition and change the playing ground. I thank you guys for allowing us to come up here today. At this time, my association opposes the bill as it is. We do look forward to being part of the dialogue going forward. And we hope to help you. We want you to utilize us as a tool, whether it's myself, Brian, the horsemen, our lobbyists, whatever you need, we're here to help you with this because we want you to make the best decision. Just like Matt Bell said, speed is probably not the best for us right now, but thinking twice before we act once. Thank you again. And I can answer questions. Brian can. I brought Robert along with us, true horseman. So if you have questions that you want to ask Robert, feel free.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. I have a question. So, we talked about the study earlier and what it showed as far as impact, particularly to Anderson, right? If we locate a casino in Northeast Indiana. So relatively small numbers. Do you think there's an opportunity if we continue to move in this direction to work some kind of a deal where we keep you all whole as far as your purses and do something in that direction?
We are always open to being a part of this process and continuing the dialogue. But what we want is what's best for horse racing and what's best for Indiana.
And then I would say, you talked about a little bit about an Indianapolis casino, and I hate that our Indy friends aren't at the table right now, but I think it probably boils down to two huge concerns when we talk about locating one in Indianapolis. One, of course, the market being served with Anderson and Shelbyville so close, and then the other two relatively close, but then also the impact on agriculture and the horse racing community. So I think those are the two big concerns I have personally and that I've heard from other people. So do you think that summarizes it well? Yeah,
May
go
I
ahead,
speak to
Brian.
that, please?
Yes, please do.
Chairman, you're exactly right. And somebody will have to explain this to me. According to the study, the gaming study, the net for a downtown Indianapolis casino, once it cannibalizes from Shelbyville and Anderson, is about $300 million. And the net effect to the horse racing industry will be a reduction of funds from those two facilities of 40%. Now, I didn't graduate valedictorian, summa cum laude, or anything like that, but I did graduate. I can read, write, and count money. We lose 40% of a $2 billion annual economic impact. You lost $800 million for residents and the people and taxes in the state of Indiana to make $300 million. You're going to lose $500 million by doing that. Somebody please explain that to me. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Other questions? Representative Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to answer that question because I was not that good at math. But I do have a question on just if there's data out there. I get that the commission did a thing on what's going to be the impact of Allen County to more to Anderson, obviously, than to Shelbyville. But do you guys have numbers? Do you track the people who come to your facility? Not you, but the casinos. Is how many people come to Anderson for the horses and how many come just to gamble? Because if I'm just going to gamble and that's it, I don't care where the horses are, they're not, then I can go either to Fort Wayne or to Anderson. But if I want to do both, if I want to go to the live dealers and then walk over and place a bet on the horse, I can only go then to Anderson or Shelbyville. So is that impact only to the true, I only gamble so I can go either place? Do we have numbers on like what percentage, and maybe the casino people can talk about that, what percentage of the people that walk through the gate at Anderson are there to gamble on horses or just the casino?
Let me give you my opinion.
Yeah.
Without any data specific. I would say 80 to 90% of the people come just for the casino experience. And the other 15, 20% come from the racetrack casino. But when I was a manager of the operations, what I found interesting was I stood at the exit doors whenever races were over. And when the races were over, 50% of the people went home, left. 50% of the people crossed over to gaming. So as horse racing fans, once that event's over, it goes over to the casino, so they continue to drive revenues on that side. I hope that's helpful, Representative Lehman.
Brian, can you talk about, because the horsemen get a cut of all the gaming revenue there at the facility. Can you talk about that?
We get 12% of the AGR from slot machines and table games. We do not get any revenue from sports betting.
Very good. Representative Criswell.
Thank you, guys. As you guys are well aware, I live, and some of you on this committee, I live 5 miles from Hoosier Park Racing Casino, so I don't represent it per se, but I do represent the very northwest house in my district. Is the gentleman back there, Robert Taylor, that has a business and a robust business and spent a lot of money. So I'm very supportive. Obviously, I appreciate Robert Taylor's support in this. His son goes to school with my kid. All of his employees have kids that go to school with my children as well. So as we look at all this, this will be a kind of top of mind for me. How are the horsemen affected? This is kind of more of a statement than a question. How are the horsemen affected? So if we relocate a license and where it goes, they're going to get compensated. So we continue to be in the top tier of states when it comes to horse racing and money, prizes. And I think we've seen with the economic impact that the horse racing industry has on this state and what it does throughout our communities to keep it one of the top tier, along with Kentucky and some other states around. So thank you for what you guys do. Thanks, Mr. Taylor, for all your investment in my community, and appreciate.
Thank you for the comment.
Representative Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question either one of you. You say the horse racing is a $2 billion a year industry to Indiana. Is that growing or are we moving backwards?
It's been growing. And it's been growing somewhat at the rate of inflation, because as these people reinvest, whether it's property they're buying or trucks, everything is going up, which pushes the needle up, and the taxes they pay and everything else.
So we're moving in the right direction.
We're moving in the right direction, but we've come a little bit stagnant. And I think what's important that maybe we look to explore opportunities to put more money towards horse racing, because in essence, that's going to foster the agribusiness across all 92 counties. We're at 2 billion. We want to get to 3 billion or 4 billion or 5 billion. Let's keep it going.
I'd like to further, if I may, I want to mirror Representative Criswell's statement, as I attended several of those events this summer, and I was impressed seeing the amount of jobs that your industry has created, local jobs, from people, families moving from out of state, becoming good, hardworking members of our communities, providing jobs for high school kids, all the way up to, your trainers and things like that. And my number one goal is going to be to protect you guys.
Thank you,
through
sir.
this. I'm for gaming. It's an adult activity. Let adults do what adults want to do within reason and responsibility. But seeing the impact that you have had on our state, but more importantly, the local communities, that's going to be my priority.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any further questions for Brian or Tony?
I just
All
want
right.
to leave you with a couple last things. I spoke with the governor at one point, and we talked about within an hour radius of where we're sitting right now, there's over 5,000 horses. We've had these events. We've put people in the back of cars, or sulkies is what we call them, carts, trolleys, some people call them, but we call them sulkies, bikes. We do a 2-seater ride, give them the experience. If anybody here wants to do that, you seek me out and we'll make sure you get a ride in a cart.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We have 5 more people signed up to testify. Up next is Pon Von Pachan. Hopefully I got that one right. Maybe I did. And on deck will be Oliver Berry.
You definitely did a lot better than Senator Holdman.
The one thing maybe I do better than Senator Holdman.
Chairman Manning and members of the Public Policy Committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on House Bill 1038. This legislation presents important questions regarding economic development strategy, long-term revenue forecasting, workforce impact, and infrastructure readiness for Allen County, and specifically City of New Haven. During the 2025 legislative session, the City of New Haven committed substantial time and local resources to evaluate the potential economic development role of gaming within the community. Under the leadership of Mayor McMichael, the city undertook extensive planning, outreach, and coordination with public and private partners to responsibly assess how gaming facilities could integrate into the existing growth strategy. This work was conducted with a focus on long-term economic sustainability, not short-term gain. New Haven has invested significant sweat equity into the efforts, engaging employers, aligning infrastructure and transportation planning, and evaluating workforce availability and training needs. These efforts represent a serious, locally driven economic development initiative designed to strengthen the tax base,
expand employment opportunities, and support surrounding commercial growth. As revenue modeling, economic impact projections related to House Bill 1038 are developed, I respectfully urge that the committee incorporate existing planning, investment, and readiness work already completed by New Haven, local preparedness, infrastructure capacity, and development momentum with material influence revenue, outcomes, and long-term economic performance. We are currently neutral. We would be leaning more supportive if we were brought to the table as future discussions are had on revenue sharing. House Bill 1038 provides the General Assembly with the opportunity to assess gaming policy in the context of a community that demonstrates both readiness, a long-term economic development vision. Thank you for your time and service on the committee and the opportunity to testify today. I'm going to take my city hat off and I'm going to put my personal hat on for a second. So my father and my brothers loved gaming. For his 75th birthday, we took him down to French Lick. There was 5 of us that live in Indiana. So, 6 carloads down. The one thing my dad loved is playing blackjack. So we went down there to visit an entertainment venue, not a casino, an entertainment venue. I want to be clear about that. That's what we're looking at, right? Why my brother and my dad were gambling. A couple of us went to the winery, and the kids, they have a whole play area, right? The pizza shop, the bowling alley, the pool. It's an entertainment district that we are looking at. So my father recently passed in the last couple months. And one thing I could not take him to do because I could not travel with him anymore was to take him to do something he really enjoyed. And so I was down at French Lick a couple weeks after his passing. What did I do? I'm not a gambler. I took $20 and put it in that slot machine in remembrance of him. We're taking the opportunity of entertainment for people who may not be able to travel as far as French Lick or Firekeepers from Northeast Indiana. I just want to be clear that we're looking at an entertainment district, not just gaming. So, I'm sorry, I had to interject that story.
An excellent point, Pon. Thank you. Representative Mayfield, do you have a question?
Thank you. I would like, you mentioned you're neutral, leaning, supportive, and you mentioned a city. So in what capacity? I missed that.
I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of New Haven.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thanks again, Pon. Oliver Berry with Bill Kanya on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Oliver Berry with Board of Public Affairs. I'm representing Churchill Downs today. Appreciate the committee's time. Appreciate Representative Snell bringing this bill forward. Churchill Downs supports this bill because it creates a clear, transparent structure for awarding a new Allen County casino license. And importantly, it does so through a competitive bidding process. We strongly support this approach because Indiana has already shown that competitive bidding works. The Vigo County casino license, as you'll recall, followed a similar model, and the results speak for themselves. A first-class $300 million resort that is outperforming expectations, generating strong local revenue, and delivering real economic impact for Terre Haute and the state. This bill adopts a similar proven framework. It requires local approval, sets a meaningful license fee, and directs applicants to submit comprehensive, investment-driven development proposals. This ensures that every applicant is evaluated on the merit, no presumptions, no predetermined outcomes, just a fair process that lets the strongest proposal rise to the top. Allen County deserves the same opportunity Vigo County received, the chance to secure the best project the market can produce, backed by the most qualified operator. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Oliver? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bill Kanya's up next with Andy Bodendistel after him.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you for a few moments. I am Bill Kanya. I'm the president and CEO of the Regional Chamber of Northeast Indiana. We represent private sector businesses in the 11 county region of Northeast Indiana, which starts in Steuben County and ends in Adams County and goes all the way to Wabash County and Kosciuszko County. I want to thank Representative Snow for introducing a bill focused on Allen County, even though he's from Kosciuszko County. That is representative of the way the people, the businesses, the local elected officials, the economic development people have learned to function as a region in Northeast Indiana. We have done many projects regionally, regional cities, Ready 2.0, the Strategic Development Commission, where we spent a year developing a strategic development plan with input from everybody we could think of in the region. And it's a 5-year plan, and we'll be bringing results to y'all in 2027 and asking for you to renew the grant and help us keep moving forward. Be that as it may, our organization, our board of directors, consists of 21 members who are all CEOs. By our bylaws require them to be the CEO of their organization or a senior executive, senior member of the team reporting directly to the CEO. At our board meeting at the end of November, we had a long discussion about this. This has been a topic of discussion for a long time with us. And we endorsed the bill with the understanding that we represent 11 counties of Northeast Indiana. We encourage that this casino land anywhere in the 11 counties, and we will support it. I know that Steuben County is interested in it. Steuben County is in Northeast Indiana. We'll support it. Allen County is in Northeast Indiana. We'll support it. I've tried to talk to people in Wabash County to do a riverboat on Wabash River, but so far no luck. We are grateful that we have learned to work together, grateful we have learned to support one another, and grateful for the fact that even our state elected officials who are within our delegation support the region as a whole. I want to say that we have not taken a position on whether we want a new license or a relocated license. We'll enter that discussion later on. To my way of thinking, if a new license is a problem, we know there's at least one that would like to consider Northeast Indiana. We encourage you to consider that as an option as well. Insofar as Native American casinos are concerned, I've been to several in places like Arizona. They are not resorts. They're gambling dens. I like to play blackjack. I don't go there for entertainment. I go there to try to beat the house. So I personally don't care. But whomever said it, Pon, I believe, what we're looking for is a resort casino to be an attraction to increase in Northeast Indiana our growing arts, entertainment, music, sports, businesses, but all of which part of our economic development strategy. Having said that, I can't say anything else that you haven't heard 50 times before. Suffice it to say at this point that the private sector businesses of Northeast Indiana support this bill.
Thank you very much, Bill. Any questions?
I think it's the first time I ever appeared anywhere that Representative Clere didn't have a question for me.
Thank
you.
Thanks again, Bill. Up next, Andy Bodensteel from Rising Sun, and then final person to testify will be Alex Stolier this morning still.
Thank you. I'll read a prepared statement, then I'll obviously answer any questions that you might have. Mr. Chairman and members of the House Public Policy Committee, my name is Andy Bondestel. I'm honored to serve as the city attorney for the city of Rising Sun in Ohio County. I'll also go off script here briefly. There's been a lot of testimony presented about social impact, and I just wanted to mention that I also am the county attorney for Dearborn County, Indiana, which is where Hollywood Casino is located. and I'm a lifelong resident of Lawrenceburg, where Hollywood's located. The farthest I got away was 60 miles when I went to Hanover, and I'm back raising my family there. So if there's any questions on that end, I can offer some input as well. Out of respect for your time, my comments today will be on behalf of both the city and the county, as we are aligned in our position as it relates to this legislation. Let me start by thanking you for giving me an opportunity to speak to the committee on behalf of our elected officials and citizens. Representative Bascom, thank you for coming in and being here with us today. While House Bill 1038 might not appear to impact our community, we believe that its current form ignores what the state's recent study identified as being the most beneficial for the state of Indiana and host communities like our own. The city of Rising Sun is home to Rising Star Casino, formerly known as Grand Victoria's Casino, and since 1996, tax revenue from the casino has provided economic opportunities that would not otherwise have been possible for such a small community. Some of these positive impacts include road and infrastructure, job opportunities, public safety, improved utilities, and revenue sharing with other local communities. And Chairman Manning, I would like to thank you for coming down last session to speak with our officials and see some of these improvements that I'm mentioning here. Full House Resorts acquired the casino in 2011, and they have been a tireless advocate of our community. They have worked diligently to make their operation successful, and we are very appreciative of the relationship that we have with them. However, over the past 30 years, the gaming market in our area has been greatly saturated, leading to a significant decline in gaming revenue. In Indiana, Rising Star has been boxed in by Belterra to the south and Hollywood to the north. In addition, there is now a casino in Cincinnati, Ohio, and gambling has been expanded in Kentucky. To put that in perspective, when Rising Star at the time Grand Victoria opened, the only other facilities in the tri-state area, the greater Cincinnati area, to gamble were two racetracks, Turfway Park in Florence, Kentucky, and River Downs, which is on the east side of Cincinnati. Today, within that area, that metropolitan area, there are 7 gaming facilities. And if you include Shelbyville, which is less than 90 minutes away, that's now 8. Whereas when we opened, the only facilities were 2 horse tracks and strictly horse tracks. To say that the dwindling gaming revenue at Rising Star Casino has been caused by anything other than market oversaturation is to overlook the reality of the situation. Because of this, the city and the county joined with Full House Resorts to support legislation last session that would have allowed the Rising Star Casino license to be moved to Allen County. And it seems odd that we would support this casino leaving our community, but we were able to come to an agreement that ensured there would be significant safeguards in place to protect against job loss, that provided financial stability while protecting against larger tax burdens being shifted to residents or businesses, and allowed for future economic development opportunities. Ultimately, the legislative effort to permit the relocation was unsuccessful due to the state's desire to study the issue, which we believe was a good first step by the state necessary to make a well-informed decision. Before you today is legislation that would not authorize a license relocation, but would instead create a new license located in Allen County. While a report has been prepared that outlines the impressive financial windfall that would be realized should relocation be permitted, the bill you are being asked to consider would further oversaturate the Indiana gaming market and contains no protection for communities that may have a casino close as a result therefrom. Please understand that other gaming communities would be negatively impacted by the creation of a new gaming license, not just the communities that I'm speaking on behalf of today. Ohio County and the City of Rising Sun asked that the legislature instead consider the permitted relocation of Rising Star Casino, as this is the only scenario that would positively impact both the southeastern and northeastern regions of the state. As written, House Bill 1038 might have a positive impact on Allen County, but it unfortunately ignores Ohio County, Rising Sun, southeastern Indiana, as well as the other gaming communities in Indiana. Our hope is that this will be looked at as an opportunity to improve things beyond Allen County, and that the legislature will weigh how to thoughtfully address the issue in an effort to maximize the benefits across the state and to establish good policy for the long-term health of the gaming industry in Indiana. Again, on behalf of the City of Rising Sun, Ohio County, and their elected officials and citizens, I thank you all for your time and for the opportunity to represent the position and concerns of these great communities.
Thank you very much, Andy. Any questions? Thanks again.
Thank you.
And final person signed up to testify, Alex Stolyar.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Manning, committee members. Thank you, Representative Snow, for your bill. and starting off this discussion. My name is Alex Stoliar. I am Senior Vice President and Chief Development Officer for the Elephant in the Room, Rising Star Casino, and the parent company, more accurately, Full House Resorts. As far as this legislation goes, we definitely agree that Northeast Indiana should host a destination casino. I think the report proved that. And I think our efforts last year proved that as well. We just disagree with the approach. Like you've heard from others, we would rather see allowing us to relocate our license rather than expanding gaming by creating a new 14th license. We understand this bill is just a starting point for the conversation. So, let's have that conversation. I think what really helps this conversation now is the fact, as a result of last year, we do have an independent third-party study that gets to the numbers, right? It's not what we say. It's not what our other casino companies say. It is a third-party objective study that was commissioned and paid for by the Indiana Gaming Commission. As far as what Matt Bell said earlier on behalf of the Casino Association, I agree with the association, obviously, as a member, that a 14th license does not serve the state or the industry well. We are in unanimous agreement on that as an association. I do want to correct one thing Matt said, though. Matt, I think when talking about Lawrenceburg, he mentioned that it's down 30% since its peak when Ohio legalized casinos, before Ohio legalized casinos. It's actually down 70%. They used to do well over 400 million, and now they do about 150 million of revenue. That's important because that's around the same percentage that we're down in Rising Sun. Okay, we are also off about 2/3 of our revenue from the peak back when, as Andy mentioned earlier, it was a 3-casino market for the whole tri-state area there. Now it is a hugely saturated area. It is, in fact, the most saturated regional gaming market in the U.S. when you look at the number of positions per population. Okay, so because of that, it's put us in this position. Now, our management team and this company purchased this casino a long time ago. It is 100% fiction to say we have not reinvested there. We have not done anything there. Since we bought it, we've built a new hotel. We've built a new RV park. We've done a whole Christmas casino. We have reinvested in the property extensively. In fact, I would say that we have reinvested over the last decade a greater share of our Indiana profits in our facility as a percentage than any other casino operator in Indiana. And I would welcome anybody to challenge me on that. But with that said, the location is the location, and it just does not make sense. We cannot build a true destination resort there. And so what we want to do is we want to take our opportunity and relocate the license to Northeast Indiana and build a true destination resort. I definitely want to thank Mayor Tucker for her support. I have met with her several times. She has made it very clear as she has learned about the issue and learned about gaming and the benefits to a host community. She has made very clear that if there's a casino coming to her city, to Fort Wayne, that it needs to be a first-class destination casino resort. And that is what we have committed to develop. That is what we develop, okay? That is what we do around the country, and that's what we will do in Northeast Indiana. The relocation approach, it's better from a timing standpoint, but it's also better for the state overall. So Andy mentioned, the city attorney for Rising Sun in Ohio County, he mentioned the benefits to there. But let's go a little bit beyond that, right, to the rest of Representative Bascom's district. As the study found, and this is on the Gaming Commission's website, if anybody needs to see this, if we are relocated out of Rising Sun, the closure of that casino actually benefits the entire region, namely Switzerland County and Dearborn County, Lawrenceburg, where the other 2 casinos are. Because our casino revenue that we generate there now, most of that will go to those 2 casinos, which is then taxed at a higher rate. So all of those communities benefit. The state also benefits. Again, Spectrum looked at this in this report, and they believe the state will benefit to the tune of $10 to $12 million a year. So in other words, relocating actually a license out of that area, out of that region, creates an additional $10 to $12 million a year for the state as compared to creating a new 14th license and expanding gaming. Also, creating a new license still does not solve the problem there. There is still an underutilized license in place that will not allow the state to maximize its revenues. Now, you've heard a lot of talk about instability potential instability. Let me state as clearly as possible. Instability, however you look at it, is a much greater issue if we start creating new licenses. Okay, if you look at the Spectrum report and you drill down on it, what you basically find is there are really two locations in the state where it makes economic sense to relocate a license to. Obviously, Central Indiana and Northeast Indiana. However, if you look at areas where a new license can be supported, the range is much greater. The range is much greater because you don't have to give up an existing asset, right? For us to give up an existing asset that does turn a profit, that does make us money in Rising Sun, we need to find something that's going to make considerably more money and benefit the state with considerably more tax revenues. That is what Northeast Indiana and obviously Central Indiana represent. Other markets, there would be a lot of interest, not just by us, but by others, of creating new licenses there and allowing that. So if we're talking about instability, that slippery slope argument is much, much greater with new license creation. I also want to say I appreciate the horsemen's concerns. We've listened to them time and time again, and we know they're a critical part of this state and the ag industry. I will say to them now, I will say this on the record, we have reached out to them on multiple occasions to try to sit down and meet with them. I will, on the record, I want to say I am willing to sit down with them at any point, at any time, right after this hearing, if their schedule allows, and we will love to find a way to work together to make sure that nobody is harmed by this. And with that, open it up to questions.
Any questions for Alex? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd signed up to testify that we somehow didn't get paper forms or on the online form? All right. Representative Snow, you don't have to, but would you like to make some closing remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real quick, I just want to reiterate, not so much to this group here, but for the general public. I want to stress the bill as it sits. What we're trying to accomplish today is just get the communication started. There's lots and lots of meetings to have yet. The bill in its form may actually change, as you all know. So I look forward to the process, and I thank you again for your time and those who came from far away to testify on all aspects, opposed and in favor of. I greatly appreciate it. And again, we're just looking for input. We will continue this process and just kind of see where it goes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative Snow. Representative Mayfield, did you have a comment?
Well, I was hoping that someone from the Gaming Commission might be available for discussion before they closed on the bill for questions.
Yeah, well, we're not taking any action, so it's not really a closing.
Right.
We do have some folks from the Gaming Commission here, if they're still here. Did you have specific questions?
I do,
Yeah.
because we have this problem, this issue with alcohol permits. Can someone who acquires a gaming license escrow it,
Might want to introduce yourself first, Natalie.
pay that money and just stick it in their back pocket?
Good morning. My name is Natalie Huffman. I'm the General Counsel of the Gaming Commission. I will say before I start that I have held this role for about 2 months. So if I cannot answer your question, it's not that I'm trying to be evasive, but rather that I probably don't know the answer. So I'm not sure. Can you ask that again? Sorry.
Okay, say I'm the successful bidder on a new license, and I don't want the industry to grow. So I take that license and I shelve it. Can a license holder escrow their license and buy it, but not implement it, not utilize it, if they have that kind of money?
I don't believe so. I would have to look into whether there's an actual statutory prohibition on that, but that has never happened in my knowledge, and I don't think that would be permitted by the current framework.
We can track that down, Representative Mayfield. Representative Clere?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great hearing. Glad we did this today. Following up on Representative Mayfield's question, obviously, if this bill advances, it will probably be the subject of a significant amendment. We don't know what that amendment might look like, but would you anticipate taking testimony again at that time?
Yes, that would be my plan.
Thank you.
Particularly if there are major changes, yes. Any other comments or questions from the committee? Thank you, Natalie. for coming up on short notice. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for testifying. I think we did have a great hearing, a lot of good input, lots to consider, and a lot of work to do over the next couple of months. So thank you all. We are adjourned.